Well, thank you, Rachel, for joining. I know you're just rolling through.
Yep.
Literally, you're like, hey,
Literally.
change your plans. I'm coming through tonight. I was like, well, fuck it. We're going to do it. We're going to run an episode anyway. So I've never met you before. You came referred, I think, by Mackenzie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was either that or Randy. I wasn't sure because he's another buddy of mine. But, well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're just going to shoot the shit because you filled out your form and it was absolutely fascinating. You have you've done everything from horses, training horses. You run marathons, which that would be my absolute nightmare, torture if I had to run anything over probably a mile.
So it's on the horse. I'm riding more of this thing. So I don't run marathons. I do endurance racing on horseback. So my horses are running from 25 to 100 miles. So I'm riding them. So I'm not doing the running part because I would never do that.
Okay. It doesn't change anything. And for me, it'd still be miserable riding a horse.
My cardio is not that great. Flattered, but it's not.
Yeah, you show up, I'm like, she runs 100 miles, huh? No, I didn't think
No.
No, but you've done everything. You drive a big rig now. Mm-hmm. What's the name of your social pages? So
SS Trekkin' Babe.
Okay.
Originated because my last name's Shackelford, and I got the nickname of the Shack Show because my life has literally been a shit show. So everyone's like, it's the Shack Show, not the shit show. So everyone calls me the Shack Show. So I wanted to incorporate that into my trekking page, and then little did I know that would literally be the curse that I needed for the rest of my entertainment, because it has been nonstop, either a hurdle or a wall or a detour or some kind of MacGyvering something. So it's built me over the years character wise for sure.
And that industry which I can't wait to dive into, is fascinating to me. Being on the road, I'm on the road a lot.
Okay.
I tell the wife all the time, like, when we're done with the kids, hopefully they never move out, but one day if they do, I was like, I just want to get my CDL because we'll get a meeting somewhere and it's 14 hours drive from here. Wow. We're like, well, let's just take the kids and we'll
road trip it.
Pack your shit. We're leaving in the morning and we'll bust out like a 14, 18 hour day to get somewhere because we drive as a family. And I'm like, God, we should just do this where we're making money off of it.
Yeah.
But okay. So I'm pumped over this one because this is going to be a good one. So why don't we just start with childhood? Where'd you grow up and how was your childhood?
So I was raised in Auburn, California. So it's, for those that don't know California, it's above Sacramento, like in between the foothills between Sacramento and Tahoe. Okay. Everyone usually knows where that is. Yep. If you tell people you live in Sacramento, they're like, holy crap, you live in the ghetto. And if you tell them you live in Tahoe, they're like, damn, you're rich. Mm-hmm. So in between that. Okay. And I was raised Christian. I had awesome parents. Older sister was raised with animals, horses, dogs, cats, a wild turkey, a tortoise, like just, little random animals, a boa snake. Like
this is the exact childhood. If you go through any childhood of footage of mine when I show my kid, there's a turkey, there's tortoises all over because people used to just drop them over our fence because my parents rescued a couple of them.
Oh my gosh.
So I've grown up snakes everywhere. Yeah, hilarious.
Everything.
Okay. I've lived this life.
And I was raised homeschooled. I was bullied when I was younger in first grade, kindergarten, first grade. I never really got along with the girls because they wanted to play with Barbies. And my dad had 2 daughters and I was supposed to be the boy and he never had a boy. So he's like, turn it into a man. We're going to raise you like one.
Really?
So I kind of gravitated more towards my dad and I loved being outdoors and doing all that kind of stuff. So I had a great childhood. I was homeschooled. I got to play with my animals. I got to ride my horses. I got to travel. My dad got into endurance racing and that's how I got into it. But he got into it when I was really young. I was 2. So my older sister would compete and I would go along and we would take the RV and the horse trailer and we would travel all over the U.S. for endurance races.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah. Nobody knows it's a thing because there's no money in it. Everyone's like, oh yeah, do you guys win anything? And I'm like a t-shirt that I have to pay for after I finish.
Part of my fees.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the dues I signed up.
Do you like this t-shirt that's got a horse on it? It's super cool. But it's not, it's interesting because the horse side of it is, you live with your animals, right? Mm-hmm. So endurance racing isn't you pay the trainer a bunch of money and you wear the super cool outfit, or it's not cliquey at all. Nobody cares what you drive, what rig you show up in, how much you paid for your horse. All they care about is that you take care of your animal. And it's that animal is a part of the family.
So that's more of a passion sport.
It's it's like a hobby. And it's crazy because I'm one of the younger generation in it. I was raised, I started racing when I was 7, but all of the people in endurance are like in their 60s and 70s and 80s.
There's 80-year-old people out here doing 100-mile races on horses.
82 years old, and he still wins hundreds all the time. Yeah, it's nuts. I'm like, these people are nuts. Like, I can barely get out of bed some mornings, and I'm like, there's no way I can ride a horse at that age that competitively. Like, it's insane. These people, this is their retirement. These are their babies. So I was raised going to these endurance races growing up. That was my sport. I played softball, and I think my mom made me go on this like basketball team for like, I played bench the whole time because I absolutely sucked at it, and I was
just socialized or homeschooled.
Yeah, I'm like, this is great. I wasn't your typical homeschool kid, but my social aspect was with a lot of older people. So
that's the best part about homeschool, though.
Yeah,
that is the greatest part, and that's what when you get that, oh, well, how do your kids socialize?
Yeah,
and I always explain it to people when it comes to homeschool. When's the last time that you hung out in a room with the same age peers as you ever, besides public school?
Yeah.
And two, it's like, I don't want my kids hanging out with 100 other 16-year-olds all day that have all of the problems, bringing everything from home to school, looking up, searching, no parental vision on anything these days. I want that control. And I feel that when you have that, at least they could come to us for the questions. Totally. And at the same time, it's like, I would rather my kids be associating with adults and learning skills and communication and everything else that comes along with it versus sitting in a classroom all day and can't even talk to their peers.
Well, and that's the wild thing too, because now obviously as society is changing and things are happening around the world, like we are realizing that trade schools and different things and people that had that entrepreneurship and didn't do good in school. I have dyslexia. I have ADD. I was an absolute hellion for my mother to do homeschooled with. Okay. Like I hated her at certain points because I was so frustrated with school. And luckily she saw that I was struggling with it, and she was able to help me through that and allow me more time with my horses, more time outside with working with my hands with my dad and doing stuff like that. But it gave me so much responsibility as a younger child. So when I grew up, I had my priorities straight, and I was able to do my chores, and I was able to function as an adult with stress or things like that because I was able to adapt and overcome and pivot and not just have it a 9 to 5, a certain schedule, everything my way. Like I actually learned how to navigate through life from a young age during the little things that I was doing that kids don't get nowadays ever.
Zero. And you mentioned stress. Like we've talked about it as parents, like, hey, maybe we're putting too much stress on them, because they've competitive fought, and they have to have something going on. Like she runs obviously the podcast, and our little one's got her little bakery, but we always look at it, we're like, the world doesn't give a fuck how stressed you are. They don't care about your anxiety. No one cares. And the world's going to chew you up and spit you out. But she's a great example. She'll listen to her friends talking, and she comes home. She's like, I can't relate to any of their stress problems. She's like, they're worried over a test. She's like, I had to go to a tournament and fight 6 boys.
Gosh, holy hell.
And we're like, yeah, you got a kid. And I mean, we're over here like, oh my God, please don't die. And she's just, so the stress levels, now she's able to process like, oh, this is nothing on my level of stress. And so that's been something that we really appreciate, and seeing the level of maturity that comes out of like a homeschooled kid ready for the real world.
Well, some of them just thrive because, when you're put in that box and you're put in that environment with school and the stresses and stuff, it's like, I look at girls now at school, right? And I'm like, I would be the weird kid literally with like polka dot leggings and like boots, right? Literally, I'm like, there's no way I would fit in nowadays. I would be like the weirdo in the corner. Like, are you kidding me right now? It is a fashion show showing up to school nowadays. I know. And I'm like, my knees always had scabs on them, like I was in the dirt 24/7. I was a total tomboy. And I can't imagine the stresses now that kids have to deal with going to school and all the other things that they have, which is just crazy.
Pressure of your everyday, what do you guys call it? Fit? Yeah.
The fit check?
Fit check.
I could never.
So it's like you get these kids, and now you're getting made fun of because of your shoes, or you don't have the brand new whatever that's out now. And now that instead of going to school and learning that's what you're worried about. Yeah. And it's like, I don't want my kids to have to deal with that shit. Granted, you're going to learn a lot in public school. Yeah. And then at the same time, when you mentioned how it was really tough for your mom to wrangle you for a bit, imagine being that kid sitting in a classroom locked into a seat all day. Oh, he's got ADHD. Oh, they got this. They got these problems. No, They just need to be able to move. Our little one, I don't know how she would sit in a classroom, and she did before we pulled her out.
Yeah.
Was a great student there, but she's just that kid that has to move, has to fidget. And then once you learn how your child learns, then you start narrowing it down. It's like, cool, stand here. Here's a board. And she's sitting there drawing, standing there, fucking around with
having
whatever.
An activity every 15 minutes or a snack or something like that. I mean,
there's for a walk.
There's so, and I when I trained horses and when I would coach clients and people and things like that to communicate with their horse, it was like teaching them with their child, right? Like, I don't have kids, but I can relate to a sense and to an extent, right? I'm not saying having animals is having kids, because it's totally not. I could never be a parent. You guys are amazing at parents, right? Like, I can't do that. I have an animal that will keep itself alive, right?
Yeah.
But I equate teaching them the personalities and how to communicate with their animal in a way that, you know, it helps them both. So they're not fighting for 50 miles down the trail because they don't speak the same language or they have different personality conflicts and things like that. So it's just very different with me being homeschooled. My parents are able to read me. I'm able to read the animals and help the people and go back and forth. And so it was more of like a personality thing, because you can either learn visually, auditorily, you know, by doing hands-on. And I think that is something that needs to be equated into schools and things like that, which unfortunately never will.
Well, they took away shop, they took away home ec,
welding, wood, all of it.
And now, you know, you look at these kids now, and they don't know this stuff even exists. And the blue-collared trade world is the most incredible path you can take. Like Idaho, we have a program here. I think we were the first in the nation. They're trying to get it through all the states. They got this team and they're lobbying. But anyways, it's instead of high school, these kids are going and they're graduating high school as an apprentice for linemen, welders. They have every trade that you can do. But instead of going through high school, you go straight to that school instead, and that's your high school. But these kids are graduating and they're walking straight onto a utility company making 80 to 100 grand a year. Why the fuck are we not promoting that?
Yeah.
Why aren't we pushing that?
I live in the wrong state.
It's a great program. It's pretty new. It's only a few years old, I believe. But man, it's like, why is that not an option? We sit here and we talk about our youth and the education and blah, blah, blah. Why are we not funding that type of stuff or bringing the trades back to schools and giving these kids an opportunity to learn something, because they don't know. I think I did home ec, I did shop, but after that, I mean, it was gone and they don't do it anymore. And so it's incredible to be able to show your kids and to learn so many different things, just being home all day and being able to troubleshoot, problem solve, figure it out. Try everything you can before you come and get us. And then,
well, and also too, I think it has a lot to do with the personality of the person, right? And like where your true calling comes from. So I was raised Christian, and being able to have a faith when I was younger and have that kind of purpose and have a connection in my own walk with Christ, it really helped structure what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, and it kind of set me on that path. And then as I got older, I got, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? I love horses. And I was like the weird horse girl. So like, I guess I'll do that as my career, And usually, everyone asks you what you want to be when you're younger. And these kids are like an astronaut and a fireman and a cop. It's like, there's so many more jobs than just that. And those are the only ones that they're showing. So if you fail one of those areas, I wanted to be a cop my entire life. I was like, I want to be a cop. It'd be so cool to be a police officer. And so Highway Patrol was hiring. My mom sent me the link and I was like, yes, I'll totally do it. So I got on with their program. And for 3 years, I was at the CHP place 3 times a week training with, they had like apprentice program shit kind of. Yeah, it was really awesome. So I was out there training. I was out there doing PT, running my mile, doing my push-ups, doing everything like, oh, this is awesome. Well, you have to pass a written test to get in, right? It's more than just the physical and, the psych and all that other stuff. And I couldn't pass it. I did 5 attempts. Really? And the last test that I did, I was 1 point away from passing. And I'm like, God has slammed this door in my face so many times. I'm going to go jump through the window and find something else to do. Like,
I can take a hit.
I clearly, and my mom was like, Rachel, what if you were to be the one that like, you were the one that failed the most times and got in? I'm like, Mom, you're so cute.
No one wants
That's not what I want to be known for.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I'd rather not, because then if I did do that, my partner would be like, how did I get stuck with this one?
Yeah, right. Then the word gets out, like, oh God, we got Rachel again.
Exactly.
But I've been that guy. You could ask me any question. My teachers used to get so frustrated with me because I would just bomb half the test, and they'd sit me down after and be like, I know you know this, and they would read me the question and be like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. I can't comprehend from reading to answering. It's even my wife.
Wild.
Even my wife, when helping me through, she's like, "Baby, you know this," and I'm like, "I know it. I know, but I'm a fucking retard." And from question to answer, from A to D, everything goes to shit. I can't explain it. It's been like that my whole life, and so I'm just like whatever. So, but that's one of those things when you're able to figure that out with your kid and be able to focus on those different points, and it just teaches you so many different things. So.
Yeah. No, it's wild. And, it was interesting because I got to, like, my dad, my parents were in the airline industry growing up. So, like, my mom and my dad were both born in Germany, and they were military kids.
I was going to ask if they're military.
Yeah, they're military kids. I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe I can be on this podcast because they're military. No, so they were military kids. And my papa was in the Air Force. And my dad's side of the family, I don't know because they were deceased before I came along. But they were super, super high up the chain of command. So very military background in as far as like them being raised. And so my dad, he ended up being a captain for American Airlines for many years before he had a heart attack and had to retire. But my dad is also like me. He's very ADD, but he's also very entrepreneurship as well. So, I mean, we had a cabinet shop. We remodeled houses. He had a landscape company. I mean, I was out there with the surveying, like, beep, 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 like laying out the thing for the barn. I mean, I was doing fencing. I was doing irrigation. There wasn't anything that I wouldn't do, from radiant heating to the roofing. Like, I loved it. And I wish I actually took Spanish seriously, because I would love to know all the shit that was talked by all of the guys that were working, right?
For sure.
As I'm like just my dad's shadow trying to walk around, like, figure stuff out.
Yep.
But it was cool because, like, some of the guys that my dad had work for him, like, they were into rock crawling or whatever. I'm like, can you guys teach me how to drive a stick? Like, I want to drive a truck, right? Yeah. And then, I would operate the tractor at 6 years old, B20 Kubota, just...
Why not?
Burying my guinea pig, learning how to use the backhoe. I mean, it was just certain stuff. We had a mandarin orchard. I mean, there were so many different things that I got to experience and learn because I wanted to be outside and I enjoyed learning.
Yeah.
But I hated learning in the classroom, but I love learning. And that's the one thing I love to do. And that keeps me driven. And it's also a curse too, because I want to do everything. I want to learn everything. And I love sucking at something new. Yeah. Like, it's so fun to be that vulnerable, or that, you have no ego and you just want to learn something so bad that you're wanting to understand it and you're okay with not being good at it and you just want to keep going. And then when you perfect that, you're like, all right, what's next?
I feel like that's most people's fears, and that's what holds them back, is what you excel at and what you thrive for. That's what scares people and stops so many people from starting and just going.
A sick addiction of adrenaline, to be completely honest. When I fear something, I'm like, okay, well, on the other side of that is freedom. So I'm going to just push straight through it, and I'm going to get the reward the faster I get through it.
Yeah.
So that's shown in many areas of my life. But one of those is like different jobs, right? Like just going through different things and not being satisfied with something and wanting to do the next, or like being scared to do it and be like, all right, well, what's going to be on the other side of it? It's going to be the reward is going to be so much greater.
That's a great mindset. That is a great mindset to have, because I mean, I'm sure you have experienced so much shit, because what would normally scare somebody, like, oh no, I'm not going to learn how to downhill mountain bike ride, or how do I learn to ride this horse 100 miles through a desert, or wherever you're fucking racing them. Most people are like, yeah, no, I'm good. But you're like, all right, what's on the other end of this?
Yeah. It's a reward, and I honestly think I've learned that from the horses that I've ridden and been privileged to work with, because some of the horses that I worked with, I mean, nobody wanted to touch them because they're absolutely insane and, had different traumas or issues or things. But honestly, those were the best ones, because they had so much heart to give once you earned their trust and got to a point where you can communicate with them. It was like, oh my gosh, they just unleashed everything. So I kind of learned a little bit more, I mean, honestly, from the animals. They're prey animals. For
sure.
I've been working with prey animals my whole life. They're fear driven. So being able to work with something like that and see them and how they've evolved with different training and stuff has helped me in my personal life evolve as well.
That's incredible. So after the cop thing didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
Where'd you go from there?
So I always fell back on horse training. When I was younger, I was 16. I started working and riding other people's horses. Being like, hey, can I ride your horse? You know, can I do whatever? Can I help around the barn? Whatever it was. I wanted to get into showing and different things. And so I would ride for other people. And then I started working with horse rescues because nobody's like, oh yeah, some 16-year-old kid's going to come train my horse. Like, cool story, bro. So I would go to rescues because nobody wanted to work with those horses. They're like, yeah, hey,
So
sign this
forced.
little liability form and you can do whatever you
That
want.
one will kick the shit out of you. That one will bite you, but here you go, kid. Like, have at it.
So I worked with a lot of rescue horses and I loved it because it was challenging.
For sure.
Right? You had to figure out their story. You don't know their background. You know, you don't know their traumas or their triggers or anything. So it was like working with a ticking time bomb. You didn't really know. And so I was able to kind of find my niche with that. And I really enjoyed it. And so, when the cop thing didn't work out, I went back to horse training and I had my little side business and I tried, you know, when I was younger, for whatever reason, I never really felt like horse training was like, I'm going to be a horse trainer, professional horse trainer. I didn't think it was like an actual like career or job. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, I eventually have to get a big girl job. Like I can't just be at the barn every single day, you know? And I never really realized that that could be something that I could just do forever, right? Because it does. I mean, it took me years to build up my clientele and be able to have a stable income from that. But it still wasn't like I knew I wanted to do more stuff and it wasn't going to fund that. So I needed to find something else. So I was an estimator for collision. I tried that for a little bit. Then I got
I bet you that was horrible.
Oh, and it was so hard because everyone comes in and they're pissed off, right? They got hit, their deductibles like big or whatever. And then they look at me and they're like, what the fuck do you know about cars? Right? And I'm like, I'd get my paper ready, like, okay, I'm going to go out with you. And they're like, really? Like, is there a guy that knows like cars, right? So I dealt with that, which was awesome. You know, I'm like, no, it's me, motherfucker. You know? So I
keep talking shit and you're not
exactly
you get nothing.
So it was interesting dealing with some, but I had an awesome boss at the time and she was I actually knew her from endurance and she's actually here in Idaho and she's like the head honcho of her shop now and she's amazing. And so she taught me a lot of grace through that. And, yeah, it was awesome. But I hated being in the office. Like I love being around the cars and learning, but I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like I plateaued. Numbers aren't my thing. Dyslexia. Like it was a shit show. So, her and I both knew I needed to go. So
it's a mutual understanding.
Like, I love you, Rachel, but this is not your job. And I'm like, thank you for telling me that. You can fire me
I'm gonna
now.
go. Yeah. Go. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I left and I went back to horse training and anything. I did HVAC for a while. Yeah, I swear I did HVAC. Well, I fucked up on my taxes and I put too many dependents down and then I didn't like recorrect it. So then I owed a shitload of money and I'm like, how am I going to afford this? So then I got a second job doing HVAC at night and then I was doing horses on the side and then I was doing collision. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Another reason why
just hire a really good tax lady and she'll take all of your problems away.
You didn't get that lesson in homeschool, huh?
No, I didn't. Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
I could balance my checkbook.
Fucking
but yeah, so I went back to horses and I kept going back to horses every single job I had. And I was like, dang, like horses is just so easy and something I knew. I was comfortable. But I didn't like being in that comfortability because I enjoy being outside of my comfort zone to an extent. But I didn't just want to live in comfort the entire time. Yeah. Like it was fun and it was exciting, but it was my hobby for so long that when it became my profession, I didn't like it.
Always.
I couldn't spend time with my own horses. I was spending time with your horse, that horse, whatever. And I couldn't enjoy my own horses. So it really kind of took its toll on me and I started to lose my spark with it.
Yep.
And so my health got really bad.
How so?
And so I had a hypothyroid problem since I was younger. Kind of went undiagnosed for a while. And I started gaining weight and I started having like brain fog and just certain things weren't clicking, right? And so I went and, our lovely healthcare system is just so great at telling you everything that you don't have. And my mom was really conscious about nutrition and things like that. And she did all the research and she'd help me with that. My Nana had it, so it skips a generation. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like we kind of knew what I had and I went on pills for it and it just, I don't know, it didn't really help that much. Then it got further diagnosed as Hashimoto's.
Really?
So Hashimoto's is just like an autoimmune and I'm like, oh my God, I have a disease. No, it it hit me hard, and to the point where I couldn't control my heart rate. I was having heart issues. I was having issues with controlling not only my heart rate, but like I would get chronic headaches. I couldn't get out of bed. I had horrible body fatigue. Like it was literally my body was going through a storm, and I couldn't train horses anymore. I couldn't go out and give lessons. I had zero energy. I had no drive. I got depression. I couldn't get out of bed. And I'm sure the narcissistic relationship I was in probably didn't help out with that. But on top of that, she's like, yes. That's a whole nother podcast topic, okay?
All right, we're going to schedule that one. We're going to talk relationships.
How many topics do you want to hit tonight?
All of them.
But no, so it was, my body was going through a lot. And so the stress of it all, I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to feed my horses? How am I going to work? How am I going to make money? Like, if I have a headache, like, what can I do if I'm sick? And it dawned on me. I was like, Rachel, you know how to drive the shit out of a truck and trailer. Like, I've been driving a truck and trailer since I was little. When I was 14, my dad would hand me a map, okay? And, you know, this is before cell phones and GPS and all that. He's like, all right, this is where we're going. This is, like, where are we, you know? And then he'd have me drive our RV and our 3-horse trailer. He's like, all right, don't pass semis. I'm going to take a nap, you know?
No shit.
And then he'd wake up and he's like, all right, where are we? Show me on the map. And so I'm, like, driving. And I'm like, I think we're here, you know? He's like, okay, do you know that we're there, you know? So I learned how to drive rigs from a young age.
Dad.
Yeah. Oh, he was awesome with that. You know, he was like the one, like, you know, you're like holding the flashlight or you're backing up the truck and trailer and you can tell you're like, dad never yelled at you, right? Because he like fucked up a million times. Oh no, my dad he was excellent at teaching me that.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. No, he was great. So he would let us do that, you know? So because I had experience with driving, I was comfortable. We'd show up to horse races and people would need their rigs, you know, helped parked. And I'm like, all right, I got it, you know, no problem. So I'm like, I thought it was cool when I was younger and we were driving to these races, like the semis going by. Like, what little kid doesn't love semis? You know, you're like, yeah, get on the horn. And I thought to myself when I was younger, like, I'd always love to drive one of those someday. Little did I know, fast forward when I'm in bed thinking I'm going to die, like that's what I was going to choose. But at the time, like, yeah, that's cool. But I had no clue. And I don't come from a trucking family. Like my dad fought me when I was younger, when I wanted him to buy a diesel. He's like, no, we're going to get a V10. I'm like, Dad, that's so gay. Like, why can't we get a diesel? You know? So I decided, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go to trucking school.
No shit.
Yeah. So I got a grant through the state.
Okay.
And they paid for my trekking school. And I was like, all right, I'm going to enter this venture that I know absolutely nothing about, but I think it's so cool. And my thing going into trekking is, of course, right, like I'm a numbers person. So I'm like, all right, I'm like Googling like what's the highest paying trekking job, right? So like ice road truckers pops up. And then like then heavy equipment, right? Like low beds. And I was like, I know tractors, I know equipment, but that's what I want to do. I want to be a low bed driver.
Really?
And yeah, like just like that. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. Cause that's
so low boys are is it just like the hazard that comes with it? Because obviously you're not just like towing a trailer full of fucking TVs. Like you got loaders, you got excavators,
so
and you're moving
heavier
everything.
equipment. So low bedding is, you know, it's heavy haul. So you're doing, and not every load is a heavy haul load. So a heavy haul, so truck drivers are allowed 80,000 pounds for their truck, the trailer, and whatever they're carrying, right? The commodity.
How the fuck are you missing a finger?
We'll get to that real quick. The ADD, you totally have it.
Well,
I'm missing
you do this, and I just see that one was shorter, so and you don't have a fingernail on it. So, yeah, I'm gonna ask. Welcome to Wild Chaos Show.
All right, we're gonna take a pivot moment real quick.
Like, yeah, so then I'm starting my career. How in the fuck?
Before I started my professional driving career, I wasn't so great at it. I got into a the side-by-sides, like Can-Am Polaris, right? So my finger came off in a Can-Am. I was racing one of our friends, and he races them professionally. Okay,
you don't,
and I don't. Clearly, I don't. He still has all of his digits. And we had just gotten like the Can-Am was brand new, like maybe 3 days or something, right? And you have to put like they have like a breaking the engine in key, right? So it can only go like 45 miles an hour. So me being the cocky person that I was back then, I'm like, all right, let's race, right? So we're doing laps, just put miles on the motor. And you can only go 45 miles an hour. So at this point, it's like skill, right? So I like got on the inside of one of the turns and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And I did that like twice. He was probably just letting me do it the entire time. Well, the next one, he pushed me out and I was on the outside where all the ruts were. So I got into the ruts and it just started going. And because I had my hand like this in the steering wheel, when it hit and I flipped, my hand went through and it cut this, and this finger was like completely like in half, like a hot dog. So I'm upside down. My boyfriend at the time comes running over. He's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, can you find my finger? And he's like, wait, what? And I'm like, can you find my finger? And he's like, don't look at it. And he like grabs his sweatshirt and takes it off and puts it around and wraps it around. And I'm like, he's like, hold pressure, you know, and he's like flipping the car over. And I'm like, I just really want to find my finger. Like, I was pissed I lost my finger. I wasn't crying. I wasn't screaming in pain. I was livid.
Did you ever find your finger?
No, it's gone. A lucky coyote had a nice little tasty snack out there.
Little Vienna sausage.
Yeah, it was so bad. I was pissed. I was so mad. So,
did you feel it?
You know what? It was a lot of pressure.
Okay.
I mean, like I've never had something like ripped off my body.
Pinched or ripped?
I think it was ripped.
So it was bleeding a lot?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's like, it was squirting out. It was really exciting. It was bad. And so then the paramedics that came out were like the firefighter paramedics. Mm-hmm. They went to the crash site where the guy that I was racing, Justin, he got me into his, and then we went back to where the trailers and the trucks are parked. And so I'm back here. The ambulance is up there. So it is taking them fucking forever to get to me. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you guys don't know GPS. Like, everyone has service. It's not that, like, we told them we're at the parking lot. Yeah. So they come over. And the fire department got to me first because the paramedics went over there. Anyway, it was a shit show. They came over and they're like, unwrap it, put water, and they're trying to sterilize it, right? And I'm like, can somebody give me some fucking pain pills? Like, I am going to lose my mind. Like, this hurts and I'm not crying, but I'm like going to freak out on somebody. Like, can somebody? And they're like, no, we can't. There's a new law because I guess apparently somebody was like stealing morphine or something in the thing. So it's a whole law. So they can't give it to me until I'm like almost at the hospital or at the hospital. So anyway, then they wrap my hand back up, and then the paramedics finally get there. Firefighter paramedics, though. Anyway, so I get into the firefighter paramedics thing, and this guy's like all tatted up, and he's in there and like talking to me. And I'm like, can you fucking stick a needle in me and give me something? Like, I need something. And I'm like, and here's my phone, and can you take a really good before picture?
No shit.
Yeah.
You have a picture of this?
Yeah. Oh, I do. Yeah.
I want it.
Oh, yeah.
We're putting it over the video.
It's so
We're going to splice this into the video. Is it just like a hamburger?
Oh, no. You can see the bone. You can see the bone, and this is like completely split.
Good for you.
So he got an amazing before picture.
Okay.
Whoever that was, I don't know if he's listening, like, thank you so much. And also, too, I'm sorry, I've had a lot of IVs before, and this guy on the bumpiest road, like going Mach 5, I didn't even feel it. Like, the smoothest entry. I'm like, you are better than any nurse I have ever had. I just want to let you know that.
He's probably some military like vet and just
totally
stab dudes every day.
So that was my finger story, and I was training horse at the time. I still got into it. And,
I don't know. We I mean, we took a hard turn on that one.
Yeah. So when I tell people, I'm like, don't worry, I'm a professional, but I just the big rigs, more wheels are better.
I think we were talking about lowboys before. Yeah. Okay.
So
sorry, I totally just
legally you're allowed 80,000 pounds for your truck, your trailer, your commodity, whatever you're hauling. Heavy haul, you have permitted loads, right? So you've got more usually axles. You have a lower trailer, so you can haul a lot heavier stuff and have it a little bit more equally loaded. And you're hauling it over 80,000 pounds. I mean, up to 400,000 pounds is the big boys. It's insane. So it's a lot of weight. It's a lot of responsibility. Tying down something, it has to have, your chains have to be weighted correctly to your whatever you're hauling. It's a lot of responsibility, especially like the oversized loads. You have to know roads and all these things that I had no idea when I got into it. I'm just like, that makes a lot of money. That's what I want to do. And that looks super cool and badass. And I know how to drive a tractor. So that's great. A B20 Kubota is like the tiniest tractor you could possibly imagine. So that like tractors now, like they have computers, joysticks, GPS. Totally different, right? Yeah. I'm like, how the fuck do I operate this thing? So I went to school. There was everyone in my class dropped out within 2 weeks. They were scared. They couldn't drive. They didn't want to drive stick. Like, I don't even know the caliber of male species that were in there, but they they all dropped out within like 2 weeks.
Were you the only woman in the class?
Mm-hmm. So I had the instructor, another instructor, and the mechanic.
And you?
And me.
In the whole class?
For 5 weeks.
That's pretty
And
nice.
I asked every single question. I had so much drive time. And I'm like,
yeah, you're not
hell yes.
You're not
like,
rotating or anything.
I was stoked. So I was so happy. I was like, this is awesome. So I learned so much stuff. I learned load securement. I learned forklift stuff. I learned water truck. I learned so much and really? I loved it. And my instructor was an old pipeline guy. So he's like, Rach, you need to get into pipeline. Pipeline's where the money's at, you know, all that stuff. If you want to travel, do whatever. Because I didn't really know what I was going to do.
Just moving pipe?
Moving pipe, moving equipment, like hauling water, doing anything. So like on pipeline, you have multiple jobs as the driver. You can drive like the pickup and the porta potties around, which I also have done. On a pipeline job. Then you can hop in the dump trailer, or the dump truck, then hop in the water truck, then hop in the low bed and move equipment.
I mean, because you're certified in all of it.
You're certified in all of it. So you do all of the truck driving jobs, whatever they need on the job. You're like the go-to person. Okay. So still to this day, he will call me and be like, hey, Rach, you want to go on this job? Like this one's, you know, he's got connections all over. So like I can go work in Alaska from a connection from him. Like it's pretty awesome.
That's
he's
nice.
amazing. He's been an amazing mentor. So yeah, I went to school and I got into trucking. And when I got out, I'm like, sweet, I'm going to go get that over 6-figure job. Like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah, nobody's going to hire you when they're like, cool, you did 5 weeks of school. Like, you don't know shit. I'm like,
really?
No, you don't understand. Like, I drive a truck and trailer. Like, oh, you drive horses? That's cute. Like, you still don't know anything. So I finally ended up at this logging company. And the SPI in Lincoln. Okay. Yep, Sierra Pacific Industries. And Dirk was the boss there. And it's so funny. Everyone calls him like grandpa, okay? Because he's like this old grouchy man. And nothing phases him. And I went up to interview with him. And, you know, he used to haul cows and stuff like that. And so he's a rancher. And he knows the lingo. And he's like,
a good old boy.
He's a good old boy. So he's like, all right, so you drive horses, you know, have hauled horses and cross country and whatever. He's like, I'll give you a shot. Okay. So we go in the Peterbilt, and I learned in a Freightliner. And a Freightliner is like, to people that don't know trucking, it's like being in a Kia versus a Corvette. Okay. I was in the Kia. The Freightliner is what I learned in, and I'm about to hop into a Corvette, and I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. So the Kia had 10 gears. The Corvette's got 18, and I'm like, totally different. So I'm like, so much more powered, like everything's different. So he hops in to do a test drive, and I've only ever been in a 10-speed, not an 18-speed. So I'm grinding every gear. Like, it was so bad. Oh. I was so bad. He's like, you'll eventually get it. And he took me up, and he's like, all right, are you familiar with windy roads? Because logging, is no joke. You are on cliffs. You're on narrow roads. You have no service. Death. Yeah, you really snow, mud, ice, whatever. Like, you have to figure it out. There's nobody out there to help you. So he's like, we're going to go up this little highway, and, you know, it's windy and twisty and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I drive that every day. Like, game, let's do it. So he took me on a test drive, and he's like, all right, I'll give you a shot.
Really?
Yeah. So he gave me a shot, and he hired me on the spot. And I was their driver to go through their like training program the quickest. I think it was a week and a half that I had. And really? My trainer, Ashley, she's female, and she's like their top driver. Of course. Her and I got along so well. And we had an amazing time. So yeah, she taught me everything I knew. We had toothbrushes out there while we're waiting on the landings to get loaded with logs, and we're scrubbing our trucks and detailing them. I mean, like, she taught me more about the trucks, and I felt so invited by her. And so I was, the place that I was at, there was like 20 drivers, and her and I were the only females.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
That's some pretty sketch, because I do a lot of hunting over on the coast, and I mean, you're on logging roads. Yeah. Well, those guys will come around those corners.
Hauling ass.
They don't move.
Yeah.
They're not moving for you.
Yeah.
And you hear them coming, you're like running back to your truck like, fuck, I left it in the road. Like trying to like get it back, and get it off the road.
Shit.
No, and time is money.
It was cool because, sometimes I'm a night owl. My cortisol's all weird. So like my time where I'm most awake is at night, right? So I would get to the yard at midnight, and then I'd get in my truck. I'd get to the landing at 3, get loaded by 4, come back, do another rotation. I didn't get home till 7 at night.
gross.
You know, I 16, 17, 18-hour days. That's normal.
Are you getting paid by the load or is it a salary?
It's an hourly position. Yeah. So you work, it was a weird pay scale. Like they'd pay you like regular time for 40 hours. Then anything after that was like time and a half.
Okay.
So, you know, you're doing 80-hour weeks, no problem. But yeah.
So you're banking out there.
Yeah. So, and it was different because it was just me in the truck. So I had a lot. Talk about podcasts. I got lists I listened to, right?
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, you don't really have much going on. And I got so thin because I didn't have time to eat. I had a gallon jug of water and you're out there throwing chain, throwing wrappers, you know, checking your load, getting in and out of the truck. You're doing so many different things that you don't really have time. You don't have downtime. And then when I got off, I went to the gym because I was like still like needed to wind down for the day. And then I went home and I slept. So I literally was like a rail when I was working. It looked like a freaking tweaker. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm getting 3 hours of sleep 5 days a week. And then I'm like sleeping on the weekends and I'm exhausted. My dog thinks I'm dead. Like I haven't touched my horses in months. So
that's a rough life.
It wore on me. So I needed something different. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with logging. Like I love it.
How long did you do the logging for?
I did it for a little under a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there any close calls out there?
Oh,
Because you hear stories of trucks coming around and head on. I mean,
we had a couple of rollovers when I was there. I came up, it was up near Quincy, Chester area, hunting area. And I was the first on scene on a log truck that had rolled over.
Really?
And I didn't know I was first on scene. Like
full load?
Full load.
Okay.
And I didn't, it was one of those like, I don't know, when you have accidents happen or things like that, like it's almost like you don't really comprehend what's happening, right? And so I had never really been on scene in an accident before. So I immediately got out of my truck and I ran over to see if the guy was in the cab, and he was knocked out.
Oh, really?
And I was freaking out because it was completely over on the side. He was a private guy. He wasn't a part of our company. So I didn't know him. And I'm like, are you alive? Are you dead? Like, I have no idea. So I'm like banging on the window, like freaking out. Like, okay, is he going to come to? Like, is the truck leaking fuel out? Like, what's going on? Logs were over. Luckily, he got so lucky it didn't come through his cab or anything like that.
That's a thing.
It is. So a couple other loggers were coming around the corner at the same time, and they ran in. I think I was there maybe 10 minutes before anybody else arrived, and then we just completely swarmed him. And he was alive. He was awake, and we got him out. And he had just like a minor head injury, but he got so lucky. And these guys, they're older, you know, and a lot of these guys behind the wheel, they're not the healthiest, you know. So it's just, you never know. And there was a couple of rollovers, like I said, when I was working. But yeah, there was dangerous close calls. I remember my first load was freaking fully loaded. It was on ice, and I rolled freaking back. I had 3 attempts to make it up the hill. Okay. And all I have is CB, right? Like I have a CB radio that maybe makes it like a couple miles, right? And
which you're calling in checkpoints when you get service.
Totally. And I'm like, fuck, I'm still here. And like, you know, Ashley's already past the point, so she can't hear me. And I'm like,
you know, you got somebody coming up your ass too.
Yeah.
So it's.
So I made it up this hill, and I attempted to make it up the hill. I finally made it up, but my first attempt, I just started sliding backwards, and I'm like, oh, I am so fucked. Like, I am so fucked, because like I know right over the edge is like a drop off, right? So I'm like, okay, I got this. So, like the second time I did it, and I was like a little hesitant, nervous, and I slid back again, and I'm like, oh shit. So the third time I like gunned it, and I like just kept steering back and forth with my steer tires, like trying to get traction in it. And thank God I did. But I'm like I'm like grinding gears trying to get through it up the hill. I was so scared. And then I was fine. And actually I still have videos on my phone of me. I would record myself on some of the landings because they're so fucking crazy. The roads that they wanted us to go down was like a mudslide. And I'm like, you know, and our logging trucks are set up where they have, you know, bunks on the truck, and then we have a trailer that comes off, and then it sits in between our bunks. Yeah. So we can have pretty much like a bobtail truck almost going up there, and then the loader will take the trailer off and connect it, right? So half the time we're going to these landings just driving the truck with the trailer on. But coming out, obviously, then we have this huge long trailer. So coming down to one of the landings, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to get out of here loaded? Like, there is no way. There's no way. So I literally recorded myself. I'm like, if I die, this is what I was doing. Like, it was insane. And of course, Ashley and I would send each other these videos, and, you know, we'd talk amongst ourselves, like how crazy it is, because nobody would believe us.
Well, because they build these landings, and for people listening, it would be where they would pull the logs up to, or where
and build like a deck.
Stacked for you and all that. But like those landings, they just push enough dirt over the edge that it just holds, and then you look down and it's straight to the
It's straight down.
bottom.
And, it's not like you have gravel. It's not like you have anything. Like, this is
No,
soft dirt. So in the morning,
soft dirt and wood
it's
chips.
ice. It's ice, right? So then later in the day, it just turns into slush.
Yep.
And, oh, my God. Yeah. No, there's been, good old logging days. I had a lot of different close calls for sure, but those landings, they taught me how to drive though. Like, I knew how to drive.
Oh,
so
you went straight to varsity. I would feel out of, I don't know much about the trucking world, but what I do know, I would say loggers working out on the coast, that's big leagues. I mean, just the sheer, you make one little mistake and you're off. And there's no like, oops, I got a little strip that's going to remind me that when I'm drifting, I mean, you're straight death.
Yeah.
You learn real quick out there.
No, real fast. I mean, it's literally separated. It's sink or swim. Like,
so you went from getting licensed, you got your CDL.
Yep.
And your first job was working for a log company.
3 weeks later. Yeah.
I mean, damn, dude, you just were like, fuck it, I'm going to learn.
And it's so funny. I didn't want to be a logger. I'm like, I don't want to haul logs. Like, that's weird. Like, it's because I'd see them all day long, right? And I'm like, their trucks don't look cool, whatever. And until I was actually logging, I'm like, this is the most badass job ever. Like, if people even knew what it consisted of, they'd have a lot more respect for it.
Facts.
Yeah.
I didn't ever really think of it. I'm from upstate New York. I mean, we have some on the East Coast, but not like the West Coast.
Yeah.
And then when I was working for a buddy out there for a couple of years, and we lived in these logging companies, like on their land, pretty much we're out there all season.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, the loggers alone, those motherfuckers are just.
And they're all older too. They're all older.
Just run me into the dirt. I'd be watching them from one side to the other. I'd be looking over at a cut. I'm just watching these guys and beep, beep, beep. They're fucking yanking shit up. These dudes are throwing cables and the trucks, they're loading these, and it's just an operation. And I would just sit back and watch and be like, dude, nobody gives loggers enough credit, and the drivers. That whole operation is like this just non-talked about industry that is just I mean, God, dude, those motherfuckers.
It's interesting because like everyone has a certain like, as far as trucking, right? Like everyone just thinks of like, the Walmart drivers are like, oh, you're a truck driver. They just imagine like a semi with a sleeper and like a freaking Walmart van, right?
Yeah.
But like I feel like the top leagues of the truckers are loggers, low bedders, and bull haulers, because those are the ones that are running 24/7. Bull haulers. So like the guys that haul the cows.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Big cattle trailers.
Double stacked ones.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, that's insane. I've got a couple buddies that do that, and it's wild, their stories, and like low bedding with the heavy equipment and stuff. There's crazy stories there in logging. I mean, it's all a totally different mindset of driver that you have to be 24/7 when you're running on minimal sleep and minimal instructions or minimal things. Like when I would get my text message from a landing, like where I was going, it wasn't like, okay, here's your Google map and here's your instructions. It's like turn left here and then turn right here at this tree, and then when you see the flag on the right hand side
at
mile 4.
And then if you see the big boulder on the right side, you went too far.
God. Yeah, there was some meme that I posted a while ago, and it was so funny. It was like, do I turn right or left? And the passenger was like, yes. Like that is how logging instructions are.
I mean, at least where we were hunting and guiding out there was no service. Like you would learn where. So you would sit and park and you'd be like, hey, call me when you're ready. And you would sit until you get a phone call, and, you'd have to wait. But you get out there, and I would be on Onyx like, where the and I'd have clients and I'd be like, oh, yeah, just keep glassing out there. And I'd be like, I don't know where I'm at,
it's crazy. So my shit showness came into my trucking because the mechanic, Robert, bless his heart, I still text him to this day whenever I have a mechanic issue or like my check engine light comes on, I like send it to him, and he's like, oh, I'm so happy I'm not working on your truck anymore. But like my truck literally was the lemon. Like any problem, transmission wise, temp wise, but anything that would go wrong with that thing, it would have a problem only with me. And Robert's like, I swear you're cursed. Like it's only you touch that truck, it's gonna have a problem.
But you're learning.
I'm learning, right?
Yeah, you're learning.
So I got nicknamed like the sunshine, like this little light of mine. Like that literally was my thing because my check engine light was on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
and my last day of work, my freaking truck broke down on me.
You're like, I'm done.
I was stuck at the landing for hours.
No, on your last day?
On my last day. Yeah. I'm like,
God.
mother effer.
Because landings could be hours from hardball.
Yep.
Hours.
Yeah. So a typical landing would be anywhere from like 2.5 to 3.5 hours from the mill. Yeah. And we would go to different mills. So like I would leave Lincoln and I would travel up to Chester and like get loaded there. And then I would, so that was like 3 hours. And then I would continue on to Quincy and then drop a load of logs there. Then I would come back to Chester and then get a different load of logs. And I would go to like Orville and then I would go grab a load there. So I was shuffling loads all over the place. Either if I was getting them from another mill to bring them to another mill or a different landing to a different landing. So we always had different things we were going. So typically I would run 2 to 3 loads a day is what I could do.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
But I mean, somebody listening like, oh, only 2 or 3 but I mean, you're a couple hours in.
Well, you have to think about it.
Couple hours out.
These people that are on the road trucking, like they'll do 1,500 miles a week, maybe. I was doing anywhere from 300 to 500 miles a day. So we're doubling that a week. So these on the road truckers, like some of them do get in a lot more miles and stuff, but because we're ag, we can drive for 14 hours versus just 11. And we can really hammer in the miles with certain things.
No shit.
Yeah. So like all the people are like, oh, over the road. I'm like, yeah, I literally did twice of what you did in like the half amount of time. And then more physical labor stuff.
Your experience is just...
So
really, a year as a logging is like 5 years on the road.
Pretty much. Yeah. You learn everything. And even it's crazy because like even on the road, you don't experience the things with breakdowns, chaining up, mountain driving, traffic driving, loaded. Like you don't experience the things that you do out in the woods and out in the mountains in such a short period of time. Because I'm going through, we have a canyon called Highway 49 that's very windy, twisty, whatever. And it gets pretty backed up sometimes. Like, it's the only way to connect cool to Auburn. So, you get traffic, you get all kinds of stuff. So you have to learn how to manage your brakes down the hill. You have to learn how to, go in and out of the lines. If you have somebody coming up with a gooseneck and they have to cover the lane, they're in your lane now. Cool. Yep. Now you have to figure out something. So it's just, it gives you so much more experience in the short amount of time. So a lot of people that have come to me from my page and known about trucking, they're like, oh, I want to get into what you're doing. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, well, usually in order to get into low bed and equipment and stuff, you have to have a lot of experience and you need good driving experience. And you can't prepare for everything, but you have to have that MacGyver type of mindset. And I'm like, go log. Because guess what? When you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can't figure something out, if you don't have Wi-Fi for YouTube and you don't have service, you have to literally figure out how the fuck to make it happen. And have had to MacGyver so much shit from like, I got a big rock stuck in my dual tire, right? So I had to wrap a chain around it and then tie it to my bunk. And then like would roll forward or roll backwards, right? I've had logs that slid down because usually so we call them wrappers. And that's pretty much the wire cable that is attached to chain that you can grinder down. So you usually put 1 or 2 on, when they load you, and then you get the fuck out of the way so the next person can come. Cause it's like, it's a fast thing. I threw a couple of wrappers on. I went down this hill. There was a lot of, water bores. So my truck hopped a little bit, even though I'm going 2 miles an hour, I'm super loaded. So it hopped a little bit and the log slid down and it almost came through my cab. And I'm like, well, I can't just be like, hey, loader guy, can you come down here and like redo that? So I had to get another chain and like wrap those, suck them back. Like I had a whole orchestra of shit to deal with so I could get home legally and not die. So, and like, I don't have service. I don't have anything. Nothing out there. But it was cool because like a lot of the loggers, these loader guys, they're super old. They've been up there forever. So they see a female walk on the job site and they're like, are you lost, darling? But they would treat me like their granddaughter. Like they would come down and they'd be like, here, let me show you something. And I loved it. I ate it up. I'm like, thank you. Please teach me so I don't look like a freaking idiot out here. So they were so sweet and kind to us. And like, we were like, kind of like brightened their day. Like Ashley and I were like the favorites. So we were not just some fat, grumpy old man showing up. It's nice to see the woman on a job site every now and then. They're like, oh shit, there's women out here. We were always so happy. And like, so they were like, how's your, they wanted to chit chat. They were so sweet. All the other truck drivers are like, fuck you guys. They hated us. Secretly, of course. Yeah. But it was cool. So yeah, I enjoyed logging. It's so near and dear to my heart. I would do it in a heartbeat, honestly, if I could again. It's just the hours. I can't do the hours. Rough. I can't. It's too hard on my body. It's too hard on my animals. I would never have a life. Yep. I wouldn't be able to do snowmobiling on a weekend or anything like that if I still was logging. So what'd you transition to after that? So after that, COVID hit. Okay. Yeah. So COVID hit and we worked through COVID, but COVID hit because we were kind of getting slow because of weather.
Yeah.
So I started going around. I'm like, all right, what's next? What do I need to do next to get to low bedding, right? Like that's
your goal.
That's my goal. And one of my instructors is like, Rachel, you're not going to get there for like 7 years. Like 5 to 7 years is usually when somebody starts transitioning to low bed. And I'm
Really?
like, well, hold my beer. So
You're like, well, I'm almost a year in.
Exactly. Yeah. So I called a bunch of different companies and I'm like, hey, can I do a ride along? Can I do a ride along? Like I want to know what is in detailed of this, you know? And they're like, a lot of companies are like, oh no, you know, cause COVID and things like that. So I landed on a small construction company that was close to where I lived.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, we have a bunch of small equipment. We run a dump truck and, you know, a pup trailer, and we have a tilt deck, and we have, you know, a triple axle, whatever. And, you know, what do you know? Come in and do resume. They're like, we only really need weekend work or, you know, here and there. I'm like, yeah. I'm down. I'll do it. So I started doing that in between being slow for logging. When I was still logging, about 6 months in when I was logging, I started working for this other company too. And then when I left logging, I went full time with them. I learned how to be an operator. We did small bridges. We did all kinds of different fun, cool things. I learned how to be in the shop and do different things with piping, and it was really cool. I got to learn a little bit more, just not only hauling the equipment, but actually utilizing it on a job site. Yeah. So I did that for about a year, and that was super fun, and I learned a ton. I got to drive a water truck and a dump trailer and a pup trailer and like all of these different things, right? It wasn't no low bed or, you know, something cool.
But you're learning.
But I was learning, and I got to be familiar with the equipment. And smaller equipment is actually sketchier to load on the trailer than the bigger stuff.
Movement-wise, or?
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but like when you're in a smaller piece of equipment, if you tip over, like you're tipping over. Yeah. When you're in a big piece of equipment that's bigger than the trailer, like there's not much movement there, right? Okay. And it's so much bigger and larger, so you can't really get hurt. We're like in a little mini X, I'm like tracking up the trailer, and I feel like I'm like doing a wheelie. Yeah. So that's like way more sketch.
Okay.
So I got to be familiar with the small stuff. And yeah, I love my crew. It was amazing. I had the best crew ever, and they're still all my friends. Still keep in touch with everybody.
That's cool.
And then after that, I'm like, okay, what's next? What can I do next? And the transition from that to my next job, I got into. I called around, and it was a friend of a friend that, like, through Instagram, believe it, of all places. And I had a mutual friend that was working as a low bed driver for this company. And he's like, the owner of the company, I was messaging back and forth, and he's like, hey, why don't you come out here and, you know, hop in one of the trucks or something on a job site, and, you know, he can show you around. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. So I had it all lined up to do it. And then I got called into logging the next day.
No.
Or not logging. I'm sorry. I got called in my other job the next day. So I couldn't like go and do it. So he wanted to help me with the position, but he knew I wasn't ready to start hauling equipment, like bigger equipment. So when I got hired on, with the next company they did a lot of heavy haul stuff. He literally threw me to the wolves, was like, okay, you're going to go out and you're going to pick up this from auction, you know, with just a regular truck and trailer. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, I can do that. No problem. So I'd go pick up, you know, gooseneck and a truck and trailer at auction. And then it was, okay, you're going to go pick a big rig up at auctions. Then I picked a big rig, you know, I'd fly out, pick up the big rig, drive it home. And like these auction finds, man, oh my God, the sensors are plugged, the turbo went out. Like literally they're from like oil fields, right? So the guys have been spitting on the floor for like a year, you know, it was like the nastiest shit, and nobody wanted to do it. But I'm like, I will totally do it. Like, give me road time. Like, give me road time. So I got really, really lucky, and I got to have that road time, and I was so thankful for the work, even though it sucked at the time. I was like, this is awesome. So I was documenting everything. Okay. I'm on Instagram, like I'm in this hotel, and there's like 4 cockroaches like on the ground. Like everything I did, I'm like, I will freaking make it. Yep. Right? Like I'm like eating my cup of soup with like my toothpaste that's like almost completely out, made that into a spoon and like eating. Like I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. Mm-hmm. I was the first person to laugh at myself. And then all the mechanic troubles I like posted on everything. I'm like, and so I started meeting people, and my page started growing to different people. And so like I started meeting people, and then they're like, hey, well, my buddy has a shop outside of like Albuquerque or Texas or whatever. And I was like, oh shoot, that's awesome. Or, you know, I had a tire come off and I needed to park the trailer somewhere overnight to then go get a hotel. Like, oh, my buddy's got a construction field over here. So I realized, I'm like, man, trekking people are awesome. Like somebody knows somebody knows somebody. So then I'm like, this is actually really cool. So I started networking a ton of like, hey, how can I help people? How can you help me? How can I help you? Like, how can everybody help each other in the different industries that we were in? It was really cool. So I always felt on the road, I felt like I always had a safe place.
Somewhere close by.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, especially being a woman on the road. And you're not...
I'm not your typical truck driver.
You're a little thing. Like, we were sitting up here trying to like adjust cameras, and we're like, nobody's shorter than mom, so we'll adjust it to mom. And then you come in the house, I'm like, oh, same height. Like,
I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, so you're a tiny little thing on the road doing this. I mean, so it's good to have a network. It's really good to have a network of people.
And it's like, it's just such a different community. I mean, the trucker community is, for the most part, are amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their trucks 24/7. Yeah. Like, we all have a respect for the road and everyone we share it with. And we also understand that we're on the road usually more than we're with our families or our time or our hobbies or whatever we're doing. So, you know, when we're at work, we enjoy work and we enjoy working with the people that we have and we see and we connect with, and we understand those struggles of being behind the wheel forever or dealing with certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the road can be such a healing place, especially when I was going back and forth in auctions and things like that. Like, I was going through, death of an animal, death of a family member, like that kind of stuff wears on you. So when you have that time to just sit with yourself and have the open road, you can process a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really healing for me. It was really, really healing for me. And I enjoyed every minute of it. And then as I got more responsibility with hauling bigger things and could show that I could MacGyver things, like, my boss sent me out to go pick up a triple axle service truck. Okay. So it's this big, huge service truck, big Peterbilt. And I mean, it's got a welder on it and all kinds of stuff. And you don't really see those, man. Every single door on that damn thing did not latch. I had like 57 bungee cords on this thing, okay? And I'm the most mechanically uninclined person to ever be driving this vehicle. And I'm like, oh, gotta buy more bungee cords. Like, this thing looked like the Flintstone thing coming out.
Going down the highway.
Yeah. So I was just, oh man. So many stories of so many things. But it was cool because it built my character. Like, I'd be broke down on the side of the road. I'd have to figure out how to do it. I lost my clutch sensor in Utah, and I was coming down and I literally had like no Jake brake. I'm like, I'm fucked. Oh, like, God. I was loaded heavy with an excavator. I'm like, I'm gonna die. So I get on YouTube, figured out how to do it. I'm in the Home Depot parking lot. $5 later, I got some parts and bolts and I'm up there under the truck, like, fixing it. I was like, yes, I felt so cool after I did that, because I'm like, I'm a mechanic. I'm totally not. But I felt like it. I was like, I could conquer the world because I figured out something on YouTube.
Good for you. I mean, YouTube certified.
Totally.
That's a thing.
I'm like, is this how guys know everything? Like, and they learn stuff? It's the guy Bible.
Yes.
It's amazing. I learned it. Now, I don't want to do that. I would much rather call somebody to have something done, because, probably with my brake system, I shouldn't take my life in my own hands. Especially through Utah. Yeah. But granted, I learned a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I don't have an ego. I do not. I came back to the yard one day and I had to load up a loader at a job site. And, the hydrostatic steering makes it difficult because they turn and pivot. I couldn't freaking get this thing straight on the trailer to save my life. It was getting dark. So I'm like looking around and I was like, oh, there's caution tape. I made myself a fucking runway. I tied the caution tape to the edge of each trailer, like on the edge of my trailer, and I ran it down and I put cones. So I literally had a runway to run on, and I got back to the yard and everyone's like, damn, that's the straightest I've ever seen one of those loaded. I'm like, yeah, I know.
First try. First try, just saying.
I struggled for 45 minutes, okay? But also, too, like, that was one thing that was hard for me to learn, is because at the time, my boss, he didn't have time to train me on everything. So the first time I ever got into a dozer was when I was unloading it at a job site. I had never driven it before. I'm like, cool, I'm either going to like leave the teeth down and like rake the freaking back of the trailer, or like, what do I do? And all these guys are staring at me because I have my little pink little vest like an idiot. So I learned that real quick. I'm like, I'm going to look like a man. I'm going to dress like a man, like no attention. But
does that help out there? I mean, as a woman, if you show, I just can't, the only reason I asked is because I came across this chick and her whole rig's pink and everything's pink, and I was like, God, I bet you she gets so much unwanted attention just driving that.
It's interesting. This is I have a hard, let me just tell you how I really feel. I have a hard time with some females that present it that way because they're out there in leggings. They're out there doing whatever they do, right? And it's like, I respect the person because of the job.
Yeah.
And you need to dress accordingly, right? So, like, yeah, I have a pink construction vest. Okay, cool. So I don't wear it anymore. But, like, I like to dress like I'm one of them, right? I don't want to be like, I'm different. I'm a girl. Please treat me differently. Like, I don't want that. I come to a job site and I'm like, hey, if you have a certain way of doing something, please let me know. Like, I'd love to learn it. I'd love to know it. And I go in there humbly. I don't go in there like, I know everything. I'm a chick. This is so cool. No, I want to learn from them because they have more seat time than I do, like, years on this planet.
For sure.
Right? So, you know, especially being in like a male dominated industry, it's that way for a flippin' reason. Like, I don't want to change it or make it girly or whatever. Like, yeah, chicks can do stuff too. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I just feel like some girls femalize it way too much than it needs to be.
Well, I feel
it's more of like an attention thing versus like a skill. I don't know. I would much rather be respected for how I do a job and what I do on that job versus like what I look like on that job.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
And that'll get you, I feel, so much farther because when it comes to, hey, we need somebody to come and grab this, they're not, oh, hey, the blonde that was lost and had the help in her all her bullshit bedazzled truck.
I don't want to be like, no, like I have my handle in the back of my truck, SS Truck and Babe. It's literally like a mud flap gal with the freaking 2 stacks.
Yeah.
Like, cool. I don't, you know, I just have my little thing. I don't have, you know, the pink or the purple or whatever, you know, and that's the other thing, construction, they don't have like many colors to choose from. A lot. Do you want to be an orange cone today or a yellow cone?
Yeah.
No, I blend in and I try to just be like one of the guys, but not to the sense of being one of them, if that makes sense. I just try to be another person on the job site.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best way to attack it. It's when you come in like, hey, I am woman, hear me roar. Yeah. Like, you know, being a girl dad, I tell them like, you could do anything.
Yeah.
Like, there's limits, but like don't come in just because you're this and because you're this race or sex or whatever, you should get special privileges. Just take the job as it is.
You know, it's interesting because like my boss sent me out to a lot of the auction yards because they would try to wheel and deal the guys, right? And then they wouldn't pick up the right thing. Or, you know, for instance, like a welder would be on the truck in the picture and then they'd get there and the welder's not there, you know, and taking it home and different things. And so I would actually be a lot more thorough with that, right? Like female, we double check everything. Everything. Yep.
Nothing gets
we're a little bit more thorough.
Well, a guy's going to walk out there and be like, oh, here's the keys. Cool.
Yeah. And like not even think of it, right?
Yeah.
So I got picked because of I would pay attention closer to detail and do those things. Also, too, like the guys are a lot more reluctant to help you. So you're not going to be at the last of the list. They're like, oh, female, hey, what do you need? I'll help you out, right? So I kind of learned this. So I started going to the auctions like right before they closed. So they would hurry and hustle to help me. And then they wouldn't stand there and watch me forever. They'd go home. So then I had time to do whatever I wanted to do.
So you're left in the yard by yourself.
So I'm left alone, right? Same with the job sites. I'm like, can I get there before like the sun comes up so they don't realize like who I am or what I'm doing? Because if I haven't loaded this machine before, I don't want to like fall off the trailer or like mess up something or like, oops. So I'm like, I don't want them to watch me struggle, right? But I mean, everyone's super helpful. The construction industry, like, I love all the guys I work with. Yeah. I haven't come across one that I don't like or that I couldn't get along well with or working. Like everyone is super respectful. And they just, I mean, they want to help, right? Yeah. They're not going to let you struggle because they're like, all right, it's taking you like 10 minutes to do this. You can get it done in 5. Like, let me help you out. Let's get going. So it's awesome. So yeah, I did the, I got into heavy haul and I started doing that and it was so much fun and I absolutely loved it. Yeah. And then, I wanted something a little bit more. And so I kept going and I got into a pipeline job.
Really?
And so I worked up in Tahoe for, we had 3 years. I only worked the 2 years, but it was different working with like a pipe crew and I was in the water truck, then I was in the dump truck, then I was hauling pipe and doing different things. And it was fun playing all those hats and learning, you know, these crews are from everywhere. So like some are from Texas, some are from, you know, Minnesota. So it's like Miss Rachel and like, yes, ma'am. And I'm like, ooh, I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Where are you from?
Exactly. So it was really cool. I was like the little sister on the job site. That's and I met a chick there that she drove fire dozers Dozer's on the
Really?
fire line. Yeah. And she's this itty bitty little blonde, right? And she's just bebopping around. And she's like the loader operator. And I'm like, who is this chick?
Yep.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I do fire. I'm like what? And she's like, oh, I drive Dozer. I'm like, I cut line. And I'm like, what? Like, that's a thing? That is so cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was pretty cool. So then that kind of perked my interest in that. And then this last year I got to get on with fire. So I got to actually haul equipment in.
Really?
Yeah. So I just kept kind of, I don't know, just getting inspired by different people and different things and like learning more. There's so many different trucking jobs.
What a
It's
cool
insane.
career to be able to learn. And you're like, oh, that looks cool.
Pivot.
Completely pivot to that for until you're over it and find something else. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that looks even cooler.
Yeah.
So you're constantly.
Moving.
So, I mean, the lowboying thing, was that kind of your, I mean, obviously with the auctions, you're hauling some pretty big shit. You were just good with that?
I was good with that. And I did, after the auctions, the market kind of changed.
Okay.
The company that I worked for, they specialized not only in trucking, but they also specialized in equipment rentals. So a lot of the time I was then more local and I was just taking machines to and from different job sites, right? And so after I was on the road doing more, hauling from auctions to bring stuff home, obviously loads got cheaper. Diesel got more expensive, so it was easier to just hire a broker to go grab stuff and bring it back than it was to send me. And then I'm like, okay, I'm only going to stay at Marriott's. Like, I can't deal with these hotels anymore that have like cockroaches and
that's what I was
shit
gonna ask.
all over the place.
What's it like being on the road? Can we talk about the,
Okay.
I don't know how to sound, I don't want to sound like an asshole or a racist, but
Just give it to me.
there's a lot of foreigners that are
Yes.
truck drivers. And
It's
I
difficult.
don't know how to say
It's
this.
difficult.
Because
You
I'm
don't
on the
have
road a
to.
lot. I
Yeah.
just, I'm in truck stops, I'm in gas stations, I'm in hotels, and I can see the difference in quality of drivers. And I don't think they're more of the lowboy personal. They're like the FedEx, Walmart haulers. What's it like? What's the
Being around that 24/7?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
especially as a woman, I feel
yeah.
like truck drivers that have been born and raised here, they'll show a little bit more respect. But there's a lot of Arabs.
So,
The
okay.
respect of women's different, and then you're in the
Yes.
same field. I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is a
Okay.
thing. I'm not even trying to
No,
make it a
no,
thing,
no,
but
no.
I've always had this question.
I get where you're going. Okay, so I'm obviously in a day cab, right? I don't have a sleeper cab. So you can see everything. You can see everything. We can't have tinted windows, anything like that, right? So I like to drive at night so people don't know I'm a female or
Yeah.
two, that I'm alone, right?
Okay.
And because I have to stay at hotels, like I'm a freaking, there ain't no other truck driver at the Marriott, I'll tell you that much right now. You know what I mean? So I'm not, staying at truck stops at the gas stations and things like that, but I am having to fill up with them, and I am having to obviously pass them on the side of the road and XYZ. It is very difficult being out there on the road with them because, one, some of them, they don't know our language, right? And there are a lot of foreigners, and it is difficult because there is such a culture difference. Like even simple road mannerisms. If you learn anything tonight, okay, like merging, okay, merging, learning how to use your Jake brake, don't blow up your shit. All these guys are in automatics, so they can't. They're not taking care of their truck. They don't care. They're just company driver. They hop in, they sleep in it, whatever. Some of them are absolutely disgusting. Other ones they actually take care of and take pride of their trucks. Right? It depends on the company and things like that.
Or if it's their rig.
Right. But a lot of the time, like, I just, oh my God. Yeah, no, it was difficult. It was really difficult because I'd get into the trucker stops. Now, mind you, I'm not hauling in leggings, right? But if I'm going to be going to Mississippi, like, I don't want to be wearing my Wranglers the entire time I'm out there, right? So, like, I want some comfort, but I'm not going to look like I just woke up. And then there's also a certain dress, right? Like, I can't look presentable because if I look presentable, then I don't look like the person driving the truck. I look like the flippin' lot lizard, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that definitely happens out there. So you have.
So here you are driving a truck, and dudes are like, "Yo, how much?"
I'm like, I'm driving the truck.
Like, bitch,
okay,
I'm parked next to you.
Yeah, like I'm in that. I'm not coming in yours. Yeah.
No
that was
shit.
a thing. That was totally a thing. So like, I'm like, okay, if I dress homeless, then I look like I'm a prostitute. If I don't dress homeless, then I look like I'm a prostitute. I'm like, cool. What do I do? Like, put my hair up in a bun? Like, I have no idea. Like, wear a big jacket? Like, I have no idea. So that was something I had to learn of like, okay, I can't look cute at all
Ever.
Not like I'm trying to, but like, I don't know. I'm not I don't wear makeup every day. Like the only thing I do is like, I wash my hair and I get lash extensions done. Okay. And I put sunscreen on. Okay. Like that's literally my regimen for my entire life. Okay. So like, I'm not one of those that dresses up or does anything either. I'm a t-shirt, jeans, boots type of chick.
Yeah.
But out in the work field, yeah, it's different. They look at you and then they're like, okay, like, is she from around here? Is she not from around here? Like, it's just, you get looks and judgy things, and it's weird.
You see some shit on the road.
Mm-hmm. So I always carry. And when I stop, like, there's a certain, I have developed a method so I do not get taken. Like, literally.
Smart.
Like,
Smart
I have
choice.
developed a method that I can stay safe on the road and my parents can sleep at night knowing that I'm not going to die.
So for
okay?
all the...
Okay. All those females out there.
All the female listeners that we don't have.
We're going to get some more, I promise.
Yeah.
You have enough manly men on here. I feel like you should have a good following.
I've had Mackenzie. I had a female cop. We've had some.
Yeah.
We've had some. So diversity, right? So first off, what are you carrying on the road?
Just like a Glock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you have learned over the years of being on the road and in and out of truck stops? What are some of the things that you've kind of like built a...
So I am like, okay, now this is coming from a logger background. Okay. We do everything on the side of the road, not in gas stations.
Okay.
So when I travel with my truck or anywhere, like if I'm going to a rest area or things like that, like, yes, you want to be in a well-lit area, but I'm like the complete opposite recluse, right? I like to travel during the night so nobody knows that I'm who I am or what I'm driving or whatever. So for instance, like getting on and off ramps, like an off ramp and then an on ramp.
Yep.
Whenever I pull over to go pee or whatever, I will get off on the off ramp and then I will get on the on ramp and I will stop on the on ramp, because when people are stopping to get out and then continue on, they're going to stop on the off ramp.
Okay.
So you can hear a car accelerating on the on-ramp, right? So if I'm stopped there, they're accelerating, they're leaving. If they're not accelerating,
they're pulling over.
Why are they stopping? So I always park on the on-ramp because that way I know, hey, if this person's stopping, like they're coming over to see me or take me or whatever. So like, I just have that, don't listen to murder mystery podcasts or like the anatomy of murder on the road. I just, it will give you every like thing in your brain and you won't be able to sleep and you'll drive like 1,000,000 miles.
I feel like that's every woman.
Oh my God, every woman. I'm like, I'm going to get taken. So it's just one of those things that I think about. So I always pull on the on-ramp and I pull over there because I know if that person's stopping, something's wrong. Okay. Right. So, and whenever I go in anywhere, I usually have my gun in my boot, my waist, whatever. I always wear baggy shirts so I can carry like chest carry. And I'm so aware of my surroundings. Like, I don't like going into public bathrooms. I don't like being at rest stops. Same thing for a rest area. If I'm pulling over anything, I will be on my way out because everyone's got to leave that way, right? Yep. So if you're parked here on, when you first come in and stop, people aren't leaving and aware and awake when they're going by you. They just want to go to the bathroom or they're going to park real quick. They're not going to catch something if something's going on. Okay. Or if they're leaving, they're going to be more awake and alert. They just got in their car and they're going off and they'll be able to see something or recognize something.
Got it.
So, that's a big one for me. Whenever I'm in a gas station or anything else like that, I always have awarenesses of like, okay, who's coming in, who's leaving, how long has this truck been there? When I pull up to the fuel station, I always try to get the one closest to the, so truck stops, you have all of your fueling stations. Yep. Well, you can be way out here or you can be the closest to the store. I always get the closest to the store because you're going to get caught on those store cameras.
Got it.
And then also too, I go to the same gas stations. So like I'll always stop at a Love's every single time. When I type in my mileage for my fuel card, it's the same number every single time. I don't put in new mileage. I always put the same mileage. So like if somebody were to find my body or if I go disappearing, like, okay, Rachel put 18 on her odometer, something was wrong, right? Because she always puts 17 and she always goes to a Love's. Well, she went to a Pilot. Like, somebody's got her.
Creature, not of habit, but you have your stops. So I
just have my certain areas, right? So, and like, my sister has my location on, certain things like that, like checking in. But it's just a safety concern of like where you are. I've had an instance where, I haven't had the best self-service, or I've had a truck issue or something like that. So it's just making sure somebody knows where you are. And then you have, on the road, you don't know if you're going to have a blown out tire or something happen. So I never book my hotel until I'm like an hour away from it, because something could happen and then I could never get to that destination, or I can get called somewhere else. So all of my stuff that I do is so last minute.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of makes it difficult to kind of keep up. So that's why I just have certain things that I do to make it a lot easier and safer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sketchy shit on the road. Has there ever been a situation that you've witnessed anything or watched some stuff go down?
I've been in a lot of sketchy places. I talked about this on another podcast that I did. I went to a landfill at night down in Santa Barbara. And usually landfills here are open 24/7. That one wasn't one that was open 24/7.
Okay.
I went up there and I got like an Apple dot of where something is, and like Apple Maps versus Google Maps. Okay. Apple gives you absolutely no communication, and you have a blue dot that may or may not be within like 100 yards of where the fuck the thing is. And Google's like, here you go. Here's the coordinates and how to get there, and a topo map and all that. Right. So I have this dot. I don't have the greatest service. I go up the hill and I had to like get a gate code to get in, and it's dark. It's at night. And I go up the hill, I park the truck, and I'm like out with my flashlight walking around trying to figure out like where the hell this dot is. I hear a woman scream bloody murder, and seconds later I hear a gunshot.
Really?
And it was an echo. And I'm like, fuck. I immediately turned off my light. I booked it to my truck, and I'm like, what do I do? Like, what the fuck do I do? Because I'm like, one, I'm the only lights in there. Like, I'm the only person in there. I heard the echo. If you're going to dump a body, like, landfill, duh, like, shit, like, I am here at the wrong place, wrong time. I barely had service. I called 911, and I got the dispatcher, and I was like, this is what happened, whatever, like, I need people here now. She literally was like, okay, I'm going to connect you. And usually like when you ever get a forwarding call, like you can hear the ring and the forward. It was like, doo, wrong number. And I'm like, what the fuck? She couldn't get a hold of the police. She's like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to call you right back. Well, then I had zero service. Like my service dropped from 1 bar to like SOS. I'm like, I'm so fucked. Like, I'm so fucked. I'm like, I'm going to die. What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to unload my bag like on this person. Like, do I crawl underneath my truck? Like, I was freaking out. So, it took like 12, 15 minutes for them to get there. And I mean, it felt like an hour. And I had every scenario running through my head. I'm like, okay, I can't find this thing. I'm going to have to come back and get it. Like, this person knows I'm here. I'm now, now I'm a person that needs to get eliminated. Like, everything went through my mind. I was
That's a woman watching murder mysteries. A dude would have been like, well, a gunshot, like someone screaming, and you're out here like,
He's probably trying to shoot a coyote off the porch.
I've heard this episode before. Yeah, that's what you get. All women.
So bad.
Going with my wife, she's like, I don't have a good feeling about this. I'm like, oh my God.
So it got better. So everyone shows up, squad cars, the whole 9 yards, and they're like, I'm like, can you please help me find this thing? And like, so I can get out of here. And they're like, yeah, no problem. Well, I had to break down my trailer. And usually for these trailers or low bed trailers, we can load equipment over the back. Well, I had to pick up a service truck. Okay. So I wasn't going to be like jumping that thing over the back. There's no way it would have cleared. So I had to break down the neck of my trailer and pull it forward. Anyway. And I hadn't broken down my trailer in a while, and I'm all flustered. So I'm like trying to figure out how to do this thing. They got flashlights on. Everyone's watching me. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was so stressful. I don't like when people watch me. Like, if you were to ride along with me in my truck, I would probably grind half the gears. Like, I don't like being watched, or like, it's added pressure. So I'm like fumbling. I'm already like nervous. I'm fumbling around. Anyway, I finally get it loaded and I leave. And I stay at a hotel because I was out of hours. And then I drove back the next day. But I was so shooken up from that. I'm just like, is this guy going to find me? Can I even talk about this? If I talk about this, will they find me and know I'm the person? Like, it weighed on me for a while.
Oh, really?
It weighed on me for a while. I went live with my mom and when we were driving out to Texas, and like, I don't know, a couple weeks later, and I told my story. But I was nervous to tell it because like I didn't know. Yeah. I was like, what do I do? I have no idea. So
that's a shit situation for anybody to really be in too. I mean,
yeah. And okay, so there was this sketch gas station in between New Mexico and Texas that I pulled up to. Okay. Literally, this gas station was known. It used to have tigers like tigers in cages near the gas. Like the sketchiest shit ever. I'm gonna have to look it up and send it to you.
Is there signs and stuff about this still?
I think so. Yeah.
It's
creepy.
Okay.
So I pulled in because I was literally about to like run out of fuel because I didn't have a big fuel tank on my truck. And I pulled in and I'm like, this is so eerie. I mean, it's just like pouring down rain and these old cages. And I'm like, is there people in here? Like, is this like sex trafficking? Like, what is happening right now? Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable.
Got your gun, you're just ready.
I had to pee so bad and like there was nowhere. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? So I went in to see if any of the pumps worked and it literally looked like somebody's remodeled house. Like everything was taken off. Stuff was like, they had like, you know, if you cover stuff before you paint it or whatever and you don't have like tarp or stuff in your house, you literally grab like the bed sheets and shit like that. That was literally how this was. There was like bed sheets over shelving and it was like they were doing a remodel inside. And they're like, oh yeah, the bathroom's like down there around the corner. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, no, thank you. Okay. So then I'm like, you know, the pumps didn't work. And I was just like, and there was a couple trucks in the distance, like with, you know, just their parking lights on. So it was so freaking eerie. But yeah, no shit. You literally used to be able to go in there and buy meat and feed like the freaking wild tigers and shit.
I feel like I've been through
like monkeys and crazy stuff. Like I probably needed to like burn some sage after that. And I didn't. That's why I'm here today. But yeah, no, it was insane. Insane. Like that was the craziest. Yeah. So New Mexico since then, I'm like, nope. Don't want to go there.
Yeah, I feel like you could always just pass around New Mexico. There's nothing like that's like, oh wow, we're going through New Mexico.
I was in my pickup and I had to go pick up a load and my boss was like, hey, I've got this auction going on. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, there's 26 pallets, but it's all small stuff. So like you can fit it in the bed of your pickup. I'm like, okay, no problem. I just got my dually. It was like brand new. So I'm like, oh, I can fit everything in this bed. You know, it's so big. I don't have a toolbox in there. I don't have a transfer tank. Like, awesome. So I drive out there to go pick it all up and it ended up being like 30-something pallets. And it's like 1/2-inch chains and binders. God. And they like wrapped them all together and then they saran wrapped everything. It took me 7.5 hours to load.
I was just going to ask, how long did that take to undo it all?
And it was 100 and I don't know. It was triple digits. It was like 110, 117. It was something crazy outside. And I loaded all of that in my rack. And then I had a bunch of like craning, rigging and all kinds of stuff. And I had to like strategically put like the binders and then put the chains inside. Like I made like a little organization maze. I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. It was terrible. Well, I was on my way back and I pulled over on the side of the road to go pee. And it was, I guess, near someone's driveway. I mean, it was like a gravel road, but there was nobody around. And I'm out like in the one bush, right? Because New Mexico, there's like no bushes. I'm in the one bush, popping a squat, and I'm looking over and I'm like, oh, there is a truck in reverse going probably 20 miles an hour down this road. And like dust is flying and there's a truck chasing him. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like pulling up my pants, getting in my truck and leave. I mean, it was just like.
The road is fascinating. Yeah. The road is a fascinating place. Yeah.
Beautiful place.
It really is.
Yeah. So that's why I like traveling at night.
Yeah. I prefer to drive at night, especially in some shitty states like Texas. I'll do all of Texas at night. There's just nothing. Once you pass out of like Fort Worth, there's just nothing. There's nothing. And then you're out like in Odessa and Midland. You're just like,
nothing.
Kill me.
Yeah. There's nothing.
The only benefit to driving out there is you could do like 120 and the cops don't even care. Like, because everybody else is just hauling ass out there. But yeah, all of Texas.
You're going with the flow of traffic. You're good.
Yeah, I try to do all driving at night if I can. So
I love it because you can go through the tolls. Like I racked up so much money in tolls. Oh my gosh, through Texas. I'm like, I'm going to take the freaking semi through. Like, no problem.
Oh, no shit.
Oh yeah, you can just blow through them. Like, they don't care. Like, you can be, and that's what I love about Texas. You can be a smart car or you can be a freaking 18-wheeler and you can go through the same toll.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. I loved it.
How long did it take for you to learn like stacking loads? Because that's a science.
So as far as like loading equipment and stuff, or just like some of the minusculous shit that I have to put on,
I would say all of it because I mean there's such a science to
so
shit. I feel like.
Loading stuff, it's just like tight end points. So I was lucky to run with a crew that, I mean, I did like freeway work. I did like local haul jobs. So there usually was a couple of us there. And if I didn't know something, I would just ask, right? So I learned how to, you know, like for hydrostatic steering, right? You have to put a chain through the middle and then you have to do the 4 tie down points. You know, for a bucket or an attachment, you have to put a chain over. And so I just learned little things here and there from the guys that I pretty much drove with, especially for the local runs. As far as stacking stuff, like I went to the Morenci mine, the copper mine in Arizona, and I was there pulling engines out, and I had a flatbed load of a bunch of engines. Well, there's like not a hook on an engine. You can just like put it. I had to literally check my straps like every freaking 50 miles. Okay. This is like bullshit. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing on the planet.
You're worried the whole time.
Oh my God. So I just, it when in doubt, just throw a shit more straps. Like, I don't care what it looks like. If I don't have to check it and make sure it falls off my truck, I don't give a shit.
Well, because there's like, I feel in the man world, like if it has to be just right strap, and it's just,
you MacGyver everything. Literally, you MacGyver everything. It's funny. I'm doing a damn job right now. And we have to haul in a bunch of stuff. And it's literally on a snowmobile road. Like, It's a snowmobile road, like a Jeep road, a 4x4 road that we are hauling stuff in on. And it's super tight. It's, 1 lane bridge. I mean, it's crazy sketch shit. They did level the road out and it's a lot better now, but it is very tight for our low bed trucks and trailers. Like logging truck, no problem, can scream in there. But our trucks, like we have to take turns a lot wider. We're like cutting out the embankment, have to trim some trees. And we're bringing a lot of miscellaneous stuff in there. So like I was hauling sandbags. Okay. You can't really strap a sandbag because it just moves, right? So I'm driving like 3 miles an hour, on this 8-mile haul road, this freaking sandbags. I'm like, what did I get myself into? Like, this is so stupid. And, these different culvert pipes that are like really light, the plastic pipes, light
big
stuff.
black ones.
I had one come off my trailer for the first time.
When? How long ago?
That was this last year.
Really?
The first time ever. And I actually texted it to the superintendent on my pipeline job that I worked in Tahoe. And I was like, you'll never guess what happened to me. And I sent him this picture and he's like dying laughing. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm too good for that because shit happens. And I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. I just threw a strap on, like, oh, it'll be fine. No, it was not fine. And it rolled off the trailer. So then I'm like, fuck. So
how do you load it back on?
Exactly. I mean, it was light enough I could roll it.
Okay, so it wasn't like the...
No, it wasn't like a huge, crazy pipe. It was a big pipe, but it was light. So that's why it kind of moved around and shuffled. So anyway, it took like 5 guys and we all like rolled it back on the trailer. But I'm like, I'm so sorry. So we have to like call out the tree numbers and stuff. And I'm like, should I put a Rachel sign on this tree? Like, sorry guys. So anyway, they're like, Rachel, don't lose any shit today. Okay. You like fucked up traffic all day. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Just jackknife.
Yeah. And that was literally like my second day on that job.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Now everyone knows me. This is great. This is so nice.
On the road, on the highway, what are your pet peeves for civilian drivers? What do we do that it just absolutely irks truck drivers?
Oh my God. Oh, there's so much.
Is there?
Not really. Learn how to use the gas pedal. Like when people get on the on-ramp, they like speed up and then slow down and then like, or they don't even see you and then they try to merge over and it's like, I'm not slowing down.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to speed up. So half the time I'm kind of an asshole and they'll like get right here and I just keep going. Like,
I mean, it's kind of like being on the water. The bigger vehicle has the right of way, I feel like.
Yeah, and people just don't know. And now, mind you, it really depends what mood you're in, right? Like when I wake up and I get behind the wheel of my truck, I have a lot of gratitude, right? Like I'm thankful I have the ability to do what I do. If I need to be somewhere at some point helping someone, like, please let me be that person.
Yeah.
But I also I start my day that way because that can make or break, merging onto the highway and some little old lady that can't freaking see, but still is driving, gets in my way. Instead of being road rage or in a bad mood about it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray for you and I'm going to keep moving over and like, God bless you, and have a great day versus like, what the, I got to slam, now I got to shift gears. Like now I got to do whatever, it's frustrating because a lot of people don't realize they don't give us room, So, and not giving us room, like there is a reason I am this far back behind you. Don't get in my spot. You know, I try to keep spacing because I can't stop as fast as you can. Nope. So I'll keep spacing, you know, when people are merging or whatever, and everyone just comes around me and then merges back in. I was coming through Stockton, and it was stop and go traffic on 99. It's like, ugh, it's terrible. Mm-hmm. And at this point in time, it was the heaviest load I had hauled, and I was like 130,000 pounds.
Jeez.
And I was oversized, and I had my flags on and everything, and I was still new, so it was fresh, and I was driving back from Arizona, and there was a merging lane to my right, and these guys, and their freaking stupid little Subarus, came rolling around and like stop, you know, traffic is dead stop. So I was shifting down, so I'm not going to burn my brakes up, and these guys come pulling in. Well, we're all in a dead stop, and I was so mad. Because I'm like, I could have just killed you, one, and then you would have cost me my license and it would have been my fault. So I was so pissed. I got out of my window and I'm like, fucking idiot. Like, I was so pissed, right? We're all in park. The freaking guy gets out and then he sees it's a girl and he's like, hey. And I'm like, oh, like, I was so mad.
Like, so what's up?
Oh, yeah. And he's like catcalling me. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Like, you drive a Subaru.
Oh,
Fuck
my
off.
gosh. I was so mad. I was so mad.
So
I was
cuss this guy
livid. I was livid. I'm like, I'm going to get back in my truck. I'm so pissed.
You cuss this dude out and he tries to spit game at you.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Like, I was so pissed. And
Never know, though. It could have worked out. You'd be like, that's how I met your dad. Almost killed him on the highway. You know?
Oh, my God. It was terrible. So it's stupid shit like that, you know? Mm-hmm. And like, no, yeah, just the swerving or whatever. I mean, oh my gosh. And I tell my friends like that, you know, cars that are afraid to drive near semis, right? Like you get into a narrow lane thing and like the car won't pass the semi because they're afraid. Trust me, we ain't coming into your lane. Okay. Yeah, like your Prius is plenty wide to fit two of you next to me. You know, that's not a problem. But if you ever feel like a truck driver, like even some of the big box drivers, you know, any little wind or anything shifts, like that trailer's moving. Those are not as easy to drive.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, I'm like, fuck with a truck driver. Like if they're coming in and out of the lane, move over into their lane a little bit so they can like see you and they'll get out of your way.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. So yeah, no, it's just little stuff like that, like merging, speeding up, or braking. Oh my God. There are so many cars that will get in front and then brake because they see something. And I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at? Like, go, move. Yeah.
See, it's not just me. It's not just me. Why are you braking?
Yeah.
Why are we braking?
Oh, I lose it. Oh,
I can't drive in Florida just for that reason.
Oh, and my favorite thing, so not civilian, yeah, I guess. People that haul, right, like with a trailer or whatever, and they don't realize that their truck cannot hold those RPMs or that speed up that hill.
Oh, yeah.
So then they block where I'm trying to pass, and they're blocking it. So then I have to go around them. I mean, it's just...
See, I've always been that guy, like when I've towed anything and you're just... I'll get out of the slow lane if I see that, just so they don't have to move. Because there's nobody, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't want to impede. I know what it takes to keep that momentum going, especially who knows what they're hauling. And so, yeah, I've always tried to get out of the way of that.
The problem is a lot of these trucks are governed. So, like, back to what we were talking about earlier about a lot of the foreigners on the road, they don't understand that they're not doing a freaking snail race. Like, I was in, oh gosh, where was I? I was somewhere back east, and they literally were blocking for 5-6 miles, literally
side by
side, like inching. And it's funny. I started looking at these cars and like, hey, like we're all doing sign language on the road, like let me over. So they let all the cars let me come up because I was riding everyone's ass. I'm like, get the fuck out of the way. I have places to be. So I was riding everyone's ass coming up, and I was like signaling the cars to get out of the way, and they started moving out of the way for me. And I came up and I like almost tried to go in between the semis. Just like I ran out of air out of my freaking air horn because I was holding it the entire time. And we're going 35 miles an hour
for you.
On like a freaking, 80 mile an hour or whatever. And they finally eventually moved over, and all the cars were like, thank you, and waving.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like in the middle of nowhere.
They're governed. They're freaking governed.
And they're trying to pass you.
They're trying to pass each other.
The worst. This is the only hatred. I don't have hate. God forgive me. When it's just a slight incline, and and the second the truck
they have to,
and they're like,
they can't. They can't.
Oh, rage mode. I will catch a case so quick if I had the opportunity. Like I go from this is a great family trip to I am about to get arrested. So quick when you get stuck behind. And then the asshole starts pulling away in the slow lane. And then you
have to pass them on the other
You know
side.
what I do? I'm that asshole.
Yeah.
I get in and I'll fuck.
Oh yeah.
I've been behind you for the last 20 minutes trying to pass this asshole. You're not getting over.
You know
now.
what's the best thing though? When we have so we all have CBs, and usually some of us are on the same channel. It just kind of depends. There's not a whole lot of
chatter.
There's not. Nobody wants to talk to whoever.
Really? So you're not on the net like, yo, who's out here?
Not like that anymore, unless you know the other truck or whatever. But lowboy trucks, there's not a bunch out there.
No.
So we're not all running the same channel. We got other shit to worry about other than chit chat. And it's funny.
Strapped to the back.
It's funny because we'll box people in. Oh yeah, if you're being an asshole and you fucked with the truck back there, we'll box you in for sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We will fuck with you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's fun. And it's also fun hearing them cuss and on the radio, cuss and swear at all the foreigner guys on the top of the hill on the grapevine and stuff, passing or coming in and out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But that's why they get stuck beside you, because they're all governed and they can't. They're all governed.
So they're both just.
Or they don't have that much power either, or they can't shift gears. Here's the other problem: in an automatic. Okay, so my truck's a 10-speed. Mm-hmm. My personal pickup, my F350, it's 10-speed. I'm literally cussing out the thing, and I will go into manual to manually shift it because I'm like, motherfucker, no, I want you to stay in this gear, climb this hill. Oh my God, don't go from 3 to 7, and then you're trying to get to 10 and we're going up a grade, knock it off. I'm going to keep you at 7. So I can only imagine and I've driven a couple automatics before and they suck. It's hard to override them to get them in a gear that you want.
Is that just a convenient, easy thing, you think? I mean, why, if it's so much more beneficial to able to control your gears,
right? It's truck drivers is a dying breed. So a lot of people aren't, when you go to school, you have restrictions. You have to test in a manual if that's what you're going to drive. So a lot of people, they don't know how to drive stick. So they can't test in a stick shift. So then their licenses, they're restricted to automatics. So a lot of people that are hiring kids out of school, young, whatever, they're wanting truck driving to be easier, or, they're going to put steering wheel holders in their trucks to be able to do that.
And that's all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was just a science. I thought everything was stick. And so lowboys, you're not doing anything on automatic with a lowboy.
No, you can't go burn that transmission up immediately.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Okay.
Yeah, your brakes or your tranny's going. So yeah, everything's very controlled.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's very, very different.
Have you ever had any close calls on brakes? I feel for how much time and hours I have on the road, I've witnessed a truck just burning them up, but I've never watched one go up a ramp.
Oh, I haven't either, except for YouTube. And I'm I'm driving by and I'm like, are there marks in the off-road truck?
I always look.
I'm always looking. I'm like, or I'm like, what would happen if I would do that? What would that be like? No, I've never, thank God, I have never lost. My personal pickup, yes, but in a big rig, no, I've never had a brake issue.
This sketch. I mean, soon as you lose your speed, you lose control of your speed, and you're
well, I have RPMs and things like that. I can hold speed with gears and things like that, and then I can use my brakes to a certain point, obviously, until they get too hot or whatever. I've definitely got my brakes hot before,
for sure,
but I've never had an issue of losing brakes or anything like that because you can control it. And honestly, when you get to that, you're fucked. So you can't allow that to happen.
I wonder what that feeling is, just knowing that you're just
probably terrible.
Get out of the way. Well, because I have to drive this giant armored truck. It's one of the companies that I work with.
Okay.
I mean, it's 25,000 pounds. It's fucking giant, right? And I drove this thing. We were supposed to lowboy it back when we went and picked it up, and the trailer that we brought was not rated for it. Which we found out when we got there after driving it from here all the way to Shelby, North Carolina.
Oh,
Shelby's in North Carolina, South Carolina, wherever.
Whoa.
So I call the owners and I'm like, yo, this isn't making it. We loaded it on the trailer and the dually tires are touching. The trailer tires are all, I'm standing behind it I look at the two kids that are with me, children that are driving, because I'm the old man, so I just made them drive the whole way out. I'm looking at them I'm not responsible for this shit. I am not certified. We probably shouldn't be hauling this. This is a total, we're just gonna bomb at night the whole way back. So I end up having to drive this thing, and oh my God, going down hills. I mean, it's because it's an automatic, but I'm trying to downshift.
Yeah.
And just because this thing, I mean, it gets moving
The weight is wild. It is wild when you're loaded, especially when you're overloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a different feeling.
I have no experience to your level, but I mean, God, just going in some of these areas and hauling ass, and we'd be in construction coming down these hills, and there'd be a big rig next to me, and there's just concrete barriers. And I got the kids on the radio like, oh my God, screaming. And I'm like, like just concrete wall. And I'm looking at this trucker in his eyes, and we're looking at each other as we're going. I learned a lot on that trip. A lot of experiences. And I have no idea how we made it back without killing anybody, but I've driven, I put 13,000 miles on that truck in just a few months.
Yeah.
So just driving it everywhere. It's been hilarious, because that's like you become so comfortable though with the weight and how everything moves and feels. It doesn't take
long. It really doesn't take long, and I think that's why I drive a big truck. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're really so..." Well, when I was around construction equipment, right? I'm around these huge 745 haul trucks, 390 excavators. I'm like, oh, stuff is huge, right? And then I'm around it every day, and I'm like, oh, it's normal.
Yeah.
I'm like,
just becomes a norm.
It's normal, right? So you get so comfortable in your own atmosphere and your own thing, and you're like, oh, it's no big deal anymore, and you don't even remember on a time when it was a big deal. Like now, driving next to concrete barriers, or a flash flood, you can't see shit. Oh, I know where the white line is. I love going through construction zones, and if they don't have the cones up, I'm just like, well, sorry, you clearly didn't measure that one out well. Oh yeah. Even in that truck, we'll be in construction zones in the middle of nowhere, and the kids are like, "Yo, take some out." I'll be hitting those barrels and just sending barrels. Oh my gosh. Those are supposed to be filled with water, and they're supposed to not move.
Yeah, they're not. They're hollow. Yeah, no, we've had some fun in that thing, but it's just like when they ride with me, she's always like, "Dad, how do you know where you're at?" It just becomes part of you, and you know exactly,
Yeah, the width of your vehicle and like what you're hauling and stuff like that. Like luckily my truck yells at me because when I have my snowmobile in the back, like I forget it's like 4 feet longer, right? So I'm like merging over to lane. I'm like, oh, whoops, sorry.
A little too soon.
Yeah.
My bad.
Like, oops. But yeah, I don't know. Trekking is just one of those things, like, once you've driven professionally and you do it for a living, like, I still enjoy, bebopping down, up, around, whatever. But I don't know, just the road is it's one of those things that's very addicting. Everyone that I've talked to that has retired from trekking, they miss it. They miss it. There's a certain clarity with it.
We drive everywhere as a family because we get to experience, and it's probably different for you because you're on the clock and you have a certain amount of hours you got to get shit done. Yeah. But being on the road, like, we've experienced so many incredible things just driving. And, there's a little town up here. Like, the food.
Yeah,
different cultures, different towns, just saying fuck it and grabbing a hotel or an Airbnb in some random ass little town and just going. Like, the road, I love being on the road. I feel that you hear all these guys are like, oh, the mountains are what heal you. And they do. I love being in the mountains. But on the road, even by myself, when you just drive, I've driven from places 4 or 5 hours, been like, fuck, like, did I already go through that checkpoint? You just zone out. And then that's where you do your thinking. I mean, dude, I'll get in full-blown fights with myself, just arguing over shit. Like, can you do this? And like, really I talk to myself a lot on the road, but I love being on the road. I think it's great. And then you can get so much shit done.
You can. You totally can. No, it's just really cool. And like the people that I've met that also share that same passion or through the industry that I'm in, and like somebody knows somebody knows somebody. Like it's such a community. And so I love it for that. And I love it because there's so many different things that you can do. You can't, you can haul logs, you can haul equipment, you can haul cows, you can do whatever. Like there's so many things that you can do driving. And it's like the places that you go, right? Like I encourage everybody, get out of your home state, like go somewhere, not have a plan. It's amazing what it can do to you.
It really
and like,
is.
We're so infatuated with technology and our phones and all these other things, but it's like when you are actually out on the road and you don't know where you are, or you're going to go check out that hotel or that little shop, like Odessa, Texas, right? Like one of the best hotels I've ever stayed at is in Odessa.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, right?
They got
like,
oil money out there.
Yeah. And like, right. There's a Lambo parked out front. I'm like, this is the best hotel room.
$500 a night.
Yeah. But it's like Arizona, like the best food I've ever had on the road is there. And like, that's the other thing on the road, having certain diet restrictions and stuff is so difficult, right? So that's another thing. Like I always think of like entrepreneurship mind, right? Like, okay, where's a niche? How could I like make another business or something that, work less, make more, whatever. But it's like healthy choices, different things like that on the road, snacks and stuff like that. Like there's not a lot of options and things to do, especially when I'm in a day cab and I don't have a refrigerator or whatever. And I got to fit whatever in the Yeti that's not going to stay cold after a couple hours.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's going to bake in the sun through, because my windows aren't ceramic tinted, So it's like there's so many different things and aspects of the road, but it just makes you appreciate so many different things.
And you get to see what this country has to offer. I mean, I just saw this video not too long ago, and these they're foreigners, and they're asking them, like, what do they think is weird about the U.S.? They're like, it's so weird that Americans don't leave the U.S. But if you take the size of their country compared to the U.S., I mean, a lot of our states are the size of countries.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Texas. It takes you 2 days just to drive across, corner to corner, probably 3 days. But it's, with us and just being on the road, it's just you get to see a whole part of this country that most people, or you're flying over it.
Or you're going through towns that, there's more cows than people in those towns.
We flew to Florida. We did a vacation for the girls. They won, and it was one of our things that we opened our mouths. We're like, if you guys win this world, we'll take every. They both ended up winning, so we had to take them on a fucking vacation. But we flew to Florida, and we had nothing planned. We just flew literally as we landed. The wife's like, hey, how far are we going to be from Florida Keys? And I'm like, not far, a couple hours. I'm like, why? We're landing at midnight. She's like, I just booked a hotel down there. So we land at like midnight in Miami, drive 2 hours down to the Keys, and then we stay there for a couple but then we just took off. We're like, hey, you guys are done. You guys want to go see more? And we ended up in, where were we? We ended up in some town, and we're like, before we know it, we're in kayaks or canoes on this river, fossil hunting. We stop at this, we went in this, oh my God, it was hilarious. I wanted to show them like good, like soul food.
Yeah.
So we find this place. We walk in there, and it was like set back in back in time. Like we walk in, and you hear like the forks and knives hitting the plate, and everyone turns and looks at us, and we're like the only white people in there. And I was like, I want oxtail, collard greens, I want black eyed peas. So I start listening to in this. Your typical Southern woman. She's like, I got you, honey. Like, does one of those. I'm like, bring out everything. But we got to experience and dude, she was bringing out desserts that weren't even out yet. And just things like that. We get to
walls that are so authentic.
Yes.
And it's different. It's so nice to be outside your comfort zone. That's why, I love being outside my comfort zone, and I thrive on that. So when I'm in places that I'm doing the same thing every day, I get bored with the 9 to 5. Yep. I can't do that. I just, and even in trucking, I have certain, I get tired of hauling around locally, or I want to go out. I'm like, okay, there was a
time to go.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I take courses from Rogue Methods. They're amazing group of guys, very tactical. Do a lot of stuff. So I try to stay up on my training, especially if I'm going to carry.
Yeah.
And so they had a class out in Texas, and I was like, I think there's a load out there. I think I have a load near there. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh, I could make it happen. So I drove out there for work for a load, and I was able to take a gun course for 2 days or whatever. And then I was able to come back. So I try to plan things around where I'm going to go. So it's not just like, okay, you're in a hotel room and you leave. I want to be able to experience and go places and do things like that. So it's just fun when stuff like that works out, or you can visit a friend or whatever. And or spontaneously come on a podcast. Just random things happen, right?
What a cool career, though. Yeah. I mean, you really, I don't know, how old are you? You don't have to say.
I'm going to be 33 this year.
To be 33 years old and to be able to experience what you've experienced in just the last 6 years, 5
years.
5 years.
6, oh my gosh, almost 6 years.
Yeah. I mean, what a hell of an experience to be able to go and do that. And there's not a lot of job fields that. No. And we kind of backtrack back to, when you're in school, and it's like, hey, what do you want to be? Doctor, astronaut, cop, army. We have the same things, but if these kids learn, there are so many incredible jobs out there that offer so many different things. And that's why I feel bad. I catch a lot of shit all the time because I voiced my opinion about the military, and it's a job, and people forget it's a job, but then they get sucked into this military mindset, and they got to do this 20 years and all that shit. And guys will do their whole careers miserable. And I'm like, get the fuck out and change it.
Yeah.
Go. If you're bitching about, if you will not change your path and realign your stars, you can't bitch about it. I'm a firm believer in that. But like, this is exactly like how we live our life. It's like, fuck it, let's go and do something. Let's go figure something out. What's the next chapter? Like, you can't sit stagnant, or your life. We're on this planet for such a short amount of time. And if you're living miserable, that sucks.
It's hard. And I think that people get so stuck, not only in their careers and their jobs, but like the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like they get in these little mind frame bubbles of what can or can't be done, or what's the norm or what's not the norm. And it's like, there's so much stuff out there that it's like, you just got to get out of your comfort zone, your bubble.
Move.
Like move to a different state, like people are so afraid because it's what either they were raised on or what they know. Mm-hmm. And I think that just speaks so true to, you know, my personality. Like I'm like a gypsy. I'm all over the place. Yes. I want to do all the things. Yep. And, you know, that can be a distraction from what I'm dealing with, right? That can be a coping mechanism for me, or that can be helping me reach where I'm supposed to be, either or, you know? So it guides your life. Yeah. But yeah, the road is always, I've been able to do everything and have the life that I want because of the career that I picked. Yeah. And it's allowed me to do a lot of different things and experience a lot of stuff. And I'm still learning and experiencing stuff, which is awesome. Like, I never want to stop learning.
Especially in your job field, I can imagine there's something new every single day. Yeah. Even probably 10, 15, 20 years in, you're like, oh, shit. Yeah. I mean, I drove through Rawlins a couple of years ago. That stretch from Rawlins to Evanston.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
This was crazy because I just finished. I had a couple clients, and I'm trying to get home. I had like a week off, and I'm bombing home. The weather was so bad, I stopped in Rawlins for the night. I wake up at 4 a.m. because I wanted to get on the road, and I opened my door, and it was like a little motel. It was the first place I saw. There was like a 4-foot snowdrift in front of my door, and I'm like, I'm in Crocs. I'm like, fuck, all my boots and everything's in the truck. I literally backed up because I had all my hunting shit, so I backed up to the door.
Yeah, so you don't want anyone taking your stuff.
I leave the door cracked because I'm paranoid.
I can imagine.
Paranoid on the road.
That's a lot bringing out there with you.
Yeah, and so even like
new.
Oh, I mean,
we think people do always know, but they don't. They have no idea.
No. So I get on the road and I try to get back on the highway. The whole highway shut down. I'm sitting there. There's like 200 big rigs just backed up down the road. I'm like, this sucks. And I see this cop letting in these oil workers. They pull up to the on-ramp and he's letting them in. So I kind of like sneak in with them. And I'm like, oh, I'm with them. He's like, no, your truck's not marked. And I'm like, listen, dude, I work in Evanston. I'm a shift lead. I got to relieve these dudes out on the field. Like, just because my buddy works out there. So I'm kind of familiar. Like, oh my gosh. And he's like, give me a few minutes. And he's like, just back up. And I back out and he comes and knocks on my window. And he's like, I got you cleared. And he's like, you're going to be the only one on the road from here until Evanston. He's like, don't fuck up. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
oh my gosh.
Like, I'm good. I get on the highway and the sun's like coming up and it's like gale for, out there, 70-mile-an-hour winds through there. It was like nothing. Yeah. I was driving in the fast lane shoulder and gusts of wind would push my truck because the whole road's just ice.
Oh, yeah.
Would shove my truck all the way to the slow lane. I'm going like 10 miles an hour. I'm on the phone with my wife. Like, if you don't hear from me, I'm somewhere between Rawlins and Evanston. Like,
and do you feel like you're so high because the snow drifts, like when they go, you're like,
yes,
la, 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 like you feel like you're in the clouds. You have no idea where you're at.
No clue. There's 18 wheelers tipped.
Oh yeah. Completely flopped over.
So I'm like driving through this apocalypse. It took me like 6 hours to get to Evanston. I finally get into Evanston. The whole Walmart parking lot, whenever they shut the highway down, just turns into an 18-wheeler parking lot. Yeah. And I pull off to get gas and kind of like just like,
yeah, come down.
Just white-knuckled the whole time. You're just exhausted. And this guy comes up to me, this black dude. He's got Georgia plates on his car. He's like, yo, man. He's like, did you just come from that way? And I'm like, he's like, is it closed? And I'm like, bro, it ain't going to be open. I'm like, it's like a war zone. He's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, head down to Colorado, go through Grand Junction maybe, and like around that. I mean, what other way do you go through? And I had this app on my phone because I was traveling so much at the time. It would always show me what roads were shut down. Okay. 3 days later, Evanston to Rawlins is now officially opened.
Oh my God.
I almost got stuck in Rollins for 3 days.
There's nothing out there.
Nothing.
That's what I was always afraid of, especially going through Wyoming. Like, there's nothing. Nothing. So I would like freeze in my truck. Like, there's nothing. So going through those states, I mean, luckily it was heavy enough and like low enough, so I was fine.
Yeah.
But like, oh yeah, no, I was always concerned about that because I'm like, okay, I gotta hit this road this time. You know, it's like constantly chasing the weather or anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that sucks. The cold sucks.
I got almost stranded out there. I worked for these guys one time, and for a while actually, they're pretty good guys. But I was like their gun runner. They would they would send me places to buy like truckloads of guns.
I love it.
It was wild. They would send me. This is a crazy story. So I had a toolbox in the back. I had a Dodge 2500 and toolbox, but it was converted into like a safe. And they would just send me with gold bars, like not the bullion big ones, but like, or whatever it's called, bullion, whatever.
Yeah.
They were like the credit card size ones, but a little thicker, but like boxes of this stuff in cash. So when I would run out of money, I would convert silver bars and gold bars at these shows. Like they would send me a list and I would just go to these gun shows all over. And I'm talking like,
what?
Historic guns that are like certified from like Billy the Kid handled it at one point.
Oh my God.
Came certified, all this shit. So I'm driving all over. And that's where like I really got to learn the trucker life without being a truck. So I'm stopping. So I'd buy blankets. I'm sleeping in my truck with like my pistol, like
have a pack of waters in the back, like
got
jet boil with your
exactly. I couldn't stop anywhere. I couldn't sleep in a hotel or get anything. I mean, this was like pre Airbnb days.
Yeah.
Where you could just like, hey, I need a place with a driveway or garage.
Right.
Or RV parking, which is so nice now. But yeah, so I'm sleeping on the roads, like just pulling over at exits.
Yeah, and you're not really sleeping.
$100,000 worth of guns. I'm like, if I get pulled over, like, how do I explain this?
What happens? What happens if you got pulled over?
I never got pulled over. Never, thank God.
Wow.
I think it was legal. I mean, it was legal. I mean, they're all legal guns, but I don't know about the possession of me having them. But yeah, so that was a fun thing. But I spent so much time on the road. I actually have a blanket that I bought. I still have it to this day. It's the nicest blanket I've ever bought. It was from a truck stop. And it came with these leather straps. I was freezing one night. I tried to sleep. It was so cold I couldn't sleep. Even with my truck on, I'm like, I just couldn't sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm paranoid that I'm going to get carbon monoxide poisoning too. So I always leave like my windows cracked at night.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why I have this weird fear. And so, don't judge me.
You've listened to too many podcasts or read too many articles about people getting stranded in their garage.
Yeah, you sit in your garage and just fucking go to sleep. I feel like, I don't know. But it's one of those weird things I've never admitted before. We might edit that part out.
I love it.
So yeah, so I like roll into this gas station and there's this blanket like rolled up and I bought it and it's the thickest, this is the nicest blanket I've ever had in my life. And it's in my canvas cutter. I bring a bedroll with me everywhere. Yeah, I put that in there. I bought it at a truck stop when I was like smuggling guns all over the U.S. and I still have it. So it's
Thing's got some memories.
It does. It fucking does. Well.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so
I love it.
I never did the trucker thing, but I lived the life on the road for sure. I put some miles on. That's why I was fascinated to talk to you and just hear the life.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's definitely a different lifestyle. It's fun because I've been able to I have friends that live out of state, so I could go visit them and kind of like show them my thing. And I don't know, I love it. I gravitated towards it, and it's fun. You know, it's fun showing up somewhere and they don't expect you to be a female, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of fun, and in that respect is sometimes a challenge, sometimes not, but it's cool. Like I did a commercial for International. They flew me out to Colorado for this commercial, and they had the truck driver bring the truck in the low bed or whatever that I was going to drive on the highway and stuff. And the guy, he's from Michigan, and he's like, the night before, I guess he was telling the producers, he's like, I'm sorry, what? There's a female coming to drive my truck? Why am I not driving it? It was very interesting. And then the next morning, we're starting to shoot at like 2 a.m. It's 13 degrees outside. It was terrible. But I walk over and I'm like, yeah, I'm the truck driver. And he's like, are you even qualified? Like, couldn't comprehend that. And I'm like, no, so I started talking to him and I won him over and I started telling him and explaining him stuff. But it's funny. Like there still is a very interesting dynamic with it. But it was kind of cool because I won him over and we had some other stuff in common and it was really cool and got chatting up and then, getting to talk to the crew people. And it was really interesting. But
have you run into any hurdles as far as working in such a male-dominated business, or have you, since you have such a positive outlook on it, does that help a lot?
I think the positive outlook that I have on it helps a lot. I haven't really ran into any issues or problems except that I don't have the muscle mass that you have. Yeah. So when I need help sometimes with, strapping down something, I'll have my entire body weight on it. I'm like, damn it, I should have ate a burger today.
You need a longer cheater bar on this one?
Oh yeah. No, I'm literally, I think one of my videos that I posted, I'm literally on the cheater bar, with all my body weight, So I think that is the only issue I come in is if I'm not strong enough to do something, but I always have help.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, everyone's treats me equally.
That's good.
Yeah. No, it's rad.
That's good. I could see how it could be the opposite if you came in trying to.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely shit talking for sure.
Oh,
Oh yeah. But as far as, there's one other female low bed driver that I know in California.
Really? Out of the whole state?
Out of the whole state.
Good
so
for
there's
you.
not a lot in art industry, I should say. I'm sure there's more that I'm unaware of, but I am only aware of one other one.
Yeah.
And that's it. So there's not it's not really there's a ton of female truckers and stuff, but I think they have a lot of respect for just us being out there and doing what we do.
I mean, because that's kind of the top tier of what you, in the trucking world.
It's well respected for sure, especially if people that don't know about it or do know about it. It's well respected.
Yep.
So it's one of those things that it's allowed me a lot of opportunities. Trucking has taken me the craziest places and cool opportunities, and allowed me to connect with people literally all over the world. My girlfriend CJ, she's in Australia, and she does the big road trains. And oh my gosh, we got to talking and I was like, it's so cool to be able to connect with other females that do other totally different stuff.
Yeah. That's
just so wild. I would never even think of, but we can connect because we have that. And I've never met her in person, but I talk to her she's my best friend every day.
That's cool.
So it's really cool. It's allowed me to have that female connection that, that I never really had when I was younger because I wasn't that girl that fit in with the other girls with the Barbies and the this and that. I was the horse girl, right? So I have now a group of females that are so supportive and we're into the same stuff. Cool. Every female that I've met that's in trucking either rides dirt bikes, snowmobiles, horses, Harleys. It's so cool. So I'm I finally feel I fit in where I'm at now.
Good.
So it's taken years to get there, but yeah.
Good for you. That's a pretty awesome thing. I mean, especially in such a male-dominated industry that you can now start building a group of women in the community.
Tomboy, right? So all the other girls, they're the same way. They're the tomboys too. So it's I don't know. It's cool. It's really fun. I finally found my little niche of people.
When loading gear on a lowboy, are you shitting your pants every time? And the only reason I ask is when I was in the military, we would have to load vehicles. I drove tanks.
Okay.
And so when we would
used to big stuff.
Ish. Sometimes. And when you would load those things, I mean, you're staring straight at the sky.
Oh yeah, no. I
You ever had those pucker moments?
I have a fear of heights. Okay. So I have a fear of heights, and I also have a fear of falling off the trailer, messing something up, right? You're just so scared, especially something you're not very familiar with. So the couple times that I've had to load the excavators over where literally it's steel on steel, so you need to make sure you're totally level so you're not gonna just slide off. But even too in the morning it's dewy. I'm hyper talking myself through it, right? And it's taking me 5 minutes to just get up and over. It's scary. It's totally sketch for sure.
Yeah.
We think we're so cool. Well, actually I do. I think I'm so cool because I do it, but it literally takes me 30 minutes. I'm I'm gonna go super slow and really methodical and I would much rather be that person than doing it too fast and messing up or hurting the trailer or hurting the equipment. Because any little move, twitch, and sometimes
everything's shifting too.
sometimes the hydraulics on these machines, like you get an older one and it's got a little glitchy, so you gotta like kind of bump up the rabbits a little bit more, so it's a lot smoother, you know. So it's just, yeah, no, I definitely I fear for my life every single time I'm loading something or unloading, and then my double checking is like, okay, are my rippers up? Like what's going on? Like what do I have?
Just walking every time. We were in Kuwait. No, we were in Egypt, and so our vehicles would go off the back of ships, naval ships.
Oh, wow.
It's really weird. Like the back of the ship opens up when you drive into the water and whatever. Anyways, so we're in Egypt and they had to like lowboy our vehicles everywhere. Well, we have to go everywhere with our vehicles because we have our comm systems and weapons in them, so which is all, you know, crypted communications gear. So we had to get in with these Egyptian drivers and we got lost. I don't even know how. There's only one fucking road that just went in one direction, but we got lost. And we're sitting there and it's in the middle of the night. We've been in these things for hours. I mean, I'm talking, it was fucking miserable. I look over at my driver and he's like fiddling around and he's sniffing and making all these weird noises. And like, I'm watching this dude, you know, I got my rifle and everything on me, but I'm not worried like anything like that. And I'm like, hey, and he like, and he looks at me and his whole face is just like white powder all over his face. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he looks at me. He's like, cocaine? You want cocaine? This dude had a bag of Coke and he just unrolled it and stuck his face in it and was sniffing it. And I'm trying to get on the radio like, yo, my driver's coked out of his mind right now. Like, and all of a sudden they're like, and we start rolling as soon as I'm like trying to get dudes on the radio. Like, then he pulls out a bottle and he's like, whiskey. I'm like, oh my God, you guys aren't supposed to be doing any of this. It's part of your religion. And now I got my driver that has my fucking tank on the back of a lowboy with Coke all over his face. He's got a bottle of whiskey between his legs. And I'm like white knuckled through the deserts in Egypt, like have no idea where I'm going.
Oh my God.
I was like, get me out. And it stunk so bad. Oh my God, man. It was the worst experience. And all of us, we finally get to the spot we're supposed to be. We're just ripping freaking the bosses off. We were just trying to get everything, all the chains off. I was like, get me the fuck off of this truck. Like, we'd never unloaded so fast in our lives.
Oh my God.
It was wild. I'll never forget that. He literally looked at me and he had Coke all over. Like, wasn't even like a little bump. He was just opening it and like full face in this bag and offers it to me. And I'm like, oh my God. No, dude. I was like, you got a joint? You got some... No, yeah, that was a wild time driving through the deserts on lowboys with a bunch of coked up, I don't know, I wanted to say Afghanis, but Egyptians.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's an experience.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I've never experienced that before.
No, it was wild. There's a couple other drivers like, you too? You did, yours guy was doing it too? I'm like, yeah, it was a thing. That's how these guys.
Sleep. They just
stop. They just, I don't know if they get it issued to them or they like check out for the day and there's just a bag of Coke in their car or in their cab. But yeah, I was.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people ask me like, what do you do to stay awake driving?
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm curious. What do you do to stay awake driving? Oh wait, just kidding. Maybe I'll answer it now.
Listen to music. Turn the radio on loud. Put on a podcast.
Okay.
What do you do?
I was waiting for that.
What do you do?
So I
tune into the Wild Chaos podcast every week. It goes live Wild Chaos Wednesdays.
I'm not gonna lie, hours will fly by. Okay, listening to this stuff. I'm telling you what.
Yeah, this one.
I don't do caffeine.
I don't either.
Okay. So you're a psychopath as well.
I get those sugar-free, the pink monsters. Don't judge again. It'll last me 4 days. If I start, I'll maybe take a sip of it. It'll last me 4 days. Like when I'm guiding and I have clients, it'll last me a whole week.
No kidding. Pink Monster. What
Sugar-free.
flavor is that?
I don't know. It's not disgusting.
I thought the white one was the sugar-free one.
No, it says sugar-free on it. It's pink, but
pink. Okay.
Yeah, I don't do caffeine. I don't dip. I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I just raw dog it everywhere I'm going. So I don't, I just go.
Okay, I don't even chew gum. I don't chew gum. I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink coffee, obviously. Like Monsters, energy drinks, any of that stuff. Like I don't.
Yeah, you're okay.
And
there's not a lot of us out there.
Half the time I have the radio off because I'm listening because I want to
Yeah.
hear if something's fucked up, right?
Okay.
And yeah, like so half the time I'll do that. And then I'm always like, you know, watching the other drivers in case they're like trying to make eye contact or do something weird or whatever. I want to make sure like my load's good or whatever. So a lot of the time, like, yeah, I'll listen to music, but not like the speakers in the Peterbilt are not.
Oh, God awful.
They like take you back to like 2001 in like a Honda Civic,
So,
right?
shit
Like
box
it's
just vibrating.
horrible,
Mhm.
horrible. So I have my like JBL speaker that I put up there, and I'm like, I'll rock out to that. But yeah, no, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when I drive the armored truck, I can drive forever in it and not get tired because I'm so stressed. It's because there's so many blind spots. You
I
have
can imagine.
because you're it's all armored doors, so you have this little window, and then you have your front windows, and there's nothing in the so even your mirrors.
You guys don't have like camera or anything like
We
that?
do.
Okay.
We do. But well, not at first. We ended up getting them. We mounted them. That's one of the things that we upgraded on it. But it has 360 cameras now. But you're so stressed because you know how. Well, I don't know how it's like this with your guys' rigs, but nobody's ever seen these giant armored trucks on the road. So they're staring at you and they drift.
Drift into you. Yes.
And
yeah,
so the
when
whole
they look, they drift in. Amazing how that works.
And then, of course, we're giving this thing away. So we have these giant QR codes on it, like, scan me to win it. So then everyone's like, and I'm like, oh my God, like trying to like not get hit by people. Yeah. I'm doing more like counter not getting hit maneuvers. Yeah. So, but like in my normal truck, I don't know. I don't know how I do it. Like even when I was deployed, sunflower seeds.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
I'll fucking chew a hole in my lip with some sunflower seeds. That's it. I could never get into dipping. Like I always thought all that shit was gross.
The Zen. You're not on the Zen.
Nothing.
Zen
I do nothing.
That's
water.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
What do you call this?
Your emotional support, John.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's so great.
Water.
Yeah, literally water, and then I have to pee every 5 seconds.
Yep.
It's great, like a squirrel. It's
See,
terrible.
I don't. I can go all day, and it's weird. I don't know. I'll drive with guys, and like every other exit, they're like, "Hey, dude," I'm like,
"Yeah, this is why." Like, I'll chug water if I like know before I'm stopping, but otherwise, I'm like, I don't want to have to stop. It's frustrating.
No, I've calmed down over the years, especially having fucking daughters. I got and a wife that has a pee every fucking 10 minutes. I'd be that guy's like, oh, there's a straightaway, and I blow by like all as soon as you get ahead of the pack.
Yes, then they all catch up, and then you have to pass the same people
so I'm
all the
sitting
time.
on the side of the road with
you
three
feel like
girls
an idiot for why?
Trying to pee, and I'm sitting there, and and I'm like, I just spent the last hour almost dying passing these people. Then it finally just dawned on me one day. I'm like, I'm not gonna win this battle. So I'm one of those people like, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking. They're gonna give in one day.
Yeah.
And they're gonna realize piss before we leave, and we're not pissed until we get to the gas station. Whenever that's gonna be. No.
Yeah.
I find that was one thing that I had to bend the knee to.
You know, it's funny. I my dad, he actually went and got his Class A a couple years after I got mine because I think he got major FOMO because he's being retired. He wants to do everything with me, like riding horses and doing and sharing that stuff, right? Like my dad and I get along with so many activities, but he got FOMO, right? So he's like, I gotta have something to do. So he got his Class A and he went with me a couple times. And I love my father dearly, love him to death, and I know he's gonna listen to this.
I'm gonna clip this clip just
so we can clip the next section. No, I love him to death, but you can only handle so much of your parents, right? So like you can only handle. As far as spending, like, it's different because you still live at home.
Yeah.
But when you're out of the house, okay, there's certain things, like, you can handle, right? It's like a best friend. Like, my best friend I've known for years, I can't spend a week with her. I will lose my mind. Okay. Right? Like, some friends I can, she can't. My father, on the other hand, love him to death, but, like, more than 3 days on the road, I'm done. I'm done. Love you, Dad, but 3 days is like I can't anymore.
Or with my mom.
Oh yeah, no, it's rough.
Sorry, I love you, Mom. I love you, but
so my dad, I like take him out, right? And I love my parents dearly. My dad's older; he's 76, and like getting in and out of the truck, going to a gas station for pee stop, right? Like a restroom break. He leaves his phone in the truck. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. How am I gonna find you? Like. if you're gonna take forever, whatever, like keep your phone on you. Like we're in and out. Like let's go. Like it's a strategy. You got to get in and out. Like even on an endurance ride, like we come to a water trough, and if we're standing there for 5 minutes, like we're gonna lose time, and then our next vet check and whatever. Like it's a strategy thing.
Yes.
So like the same thing I have to tell them. I'm like, okay, you got to get in, get out. And my mom too. Like bless her heart, we went and picked up horses, and she's an awesome driver too. And I'm like, she'd like same thing. Her phone in the truck. I'm like, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to park around the parking lot. So you're so scared when you come out, realize you don't have your phone on you, that you are going to keep your phone on you now. Like I'm having to train them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just funny. I'm like trying to teach my mom all these things of like how to get out of the car. Like the lights on my truck, right? Like I put the button off. So like the lights don't come on when my doors come out, you know, it's just certain things. I'm like, okay, we have a system. Let's go. I'm like, I like get anxiety when it takes forever.
And then you go in the gas station and are looking at trinkets, and I'm like, oh my God, you need another Stanley Cup? We got fucking 5 of them.
We got our snacks. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my dad, we went to Louisiana together. That was
drove.
That was more than 3 days.
Oh God, that's a
It was
haul.
rough. It was really rough. That's some trauma coming back from that one. But so he freaking opens up tuna and starts eating tuna in the truck, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding? That's so smelly. And then it gets better. He had salmon jerky.
Oh.
I'm like,
Somebody actually buys that?
He fishes in Alaska all the time, brings fish back and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if it's like homemade stuff or whatever.
Oh,
it smelled so rank. I was like, no. Like you cannot.
Fish jerky's actually got awful. The first time I ever experienced it was in a berthing on a ship. We had a kid that was Russian, and that he would peel it off the skin.
No.
It would like pop, and then it would
pop as sound effects. I'm done. I can't.
It would smell so bad. It was this rotten vagina in the berthing.
Don't bring that inside the vehicle. We're going to be in this vehicle forever. I was like, you cannot eat that. No. You can't eat that.
There's standards.
I was pissed.
There's unspoken rules and things you just don't do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I couldn't. That's why we're going to wait for the kids before I start driving, because I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah, so there's certain no-nos on road snacks, okay? Or like the super crunchy loud.
What's your road snack? What's your go-to?
That's a good one. So today I was literally eating cottage cheese like it was a Jell-O shot because I had no utensils in my truck on the way down here.
Okay.
Protein shakes. I like protein shakes because I can drink them and they're easy and there's no mess.
Cottage cheese, barbecue chips.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds really good.
It is.
That sounds really good. Sometimes jerky's too sticky. You know, like some jerky will have too much shit on it. It's like
jerky's hit or miss.
Yeah, you have to be in the mood for
and
it.
If I'm gonna pay $17 for a bag this big that has this much jerky in it, I want good. And then you bite into it, and you're like, God, I don't know how many. Probably every door in my truck has a bag of jerky in it right now.
So funny. I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh.
I want to talk. Fuck. I'm going to have you come back. I don't want to keep you all night, but I didn't even touch endurance racing, which I didn't even know that was a fucking thing.
Yeah.
I guess we could touch it real quick.
Well, it's funny because people always like, so I have a big horse trailer because it's got living quarters in it, right? Because these races that we go to, they're out in the middle of nowhere and you stay in your rig and they're usually multiple day events. So everyone's like, oh, do you like barrel race or do anything? And I'm like, no, like, I off-road with, I park in the middle of the desert, like with tumbleweeds and like dirt and shit, right? Like they are so curious what it is and what you do. And when you're trying to explain to somebody like what endurance racing is, you're like, okay, so like it's horse racing. They're like on a track, like, are you a jockey? I'm like, no, it's like cross country, but without the jumps. But it's like, I'm like, okay, motocross, right? You have the track and then you have enduro, right? So they're like the crazy guys on the 2 strokes climbing the hills. We do enduro.
You're the enduro racers of the horse community.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah. So
are you hauling ass the whole time?
Yes and
or
no.
Do you have
it
to
depends.
pace?
You have to pace, and it's regulated. So you have a vet check in the beginning and the vet check at the end and in between. So the horses, they have, they can't be just fat showing up and out of shape or whatever.
Sure.
You can't override your horse. So the vets are there to make sure that you are riding your horse to the best of its ability and making sure that if it's dehydrated or if it, doesn't have gut sounds and it's not regulating its food or anything like that and its energy, or if it's underweight or if its heart rate isn't coming down, like they can catch those things, right? So it is a strategy thing. Our horses are mainly Arabians. They're like the crackheads of the horses, right? There's many different dog breeds. Ours are like the greyhound mixed with the border collie. Right?
Oh,
a little bit of cattle dog, they're like a little psycho.
Okay.
They got some Jack Russell in them,
It's a pit Wawa.
Yeah. So they're very high strung horses. They want to
ready.
run, they want to go. Yeah.
Okay.
They're bred to race 100 miles in the desert without food or water. Like that is literally.
You're doing this in one. You're not rotating horses. It's the same horse?
For like multi-day races. So the race that you enter, you don't just like leapfrog horses. The same horse that you ride for that day, you finish that race for that day. If you want to race a different day, you can race a different horse or the same horse. They have multiple things. So it's what's called multi-day endurance rides. So there's 4 to 5 days. They're like pioneer rides. You can get a separate award for riding the same horse every single day of that, or you can get a different award for riding a different horse every single day. So it just depends on the horse.
How long does it take you to ride 100 miles on a horse?
Depends. We have 24 hours to complete it.
Okay.
So that's what you're given. If it's a flatter course, you can finish 100 in easily 7-8 hours. If it's a hilly course, then you're looking at probably, upwards of 10 plus.
And you're doing that straight. Mm-hmm. You're riding straight.
You're riding straight. And the vet checks, you have like rest. So the horse gets to rest for a 50-mile race. The horse gets to rest for an hour at, 25 miles. And then on a 100-mile race, there's usually 3 rest stops for the horses where they'll, stop the time. The horse rests for like half hour or an hour in between.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's really
I didn't
fun.
know this was a thing.
It's cool because like as a kid, when I grew up in the sport, being able to travel and see places that you wouldn't normally see. A lot of these races are on private lands or, you have to have permits to be on the lands and things like that. And you're up on the top of a mountain you couldn't get to if you weren't on a horse or a dirt bike or an ATV or a quad or whatever. So you really get to see a lot of the country that you can't. There is a family that puts on these races, the Nicholson family, and they are amazing people. They have pretty much all these races all over. So there's the Grand Canyon. There's near Mount Zion.
Really?
The Bryce Canyon. So like you're going through beautiful country. They also, I don't know if he's going to do it again, but they put on a race. It's called the Pony Express and is 2,500 miles. And it's from St. Joseph, Missouri to Virginia City, Nevada. Yeah, 2,500 miles, and they do it within 40 days.
On
Wild.
horse.
Yep. So point to point.
How raw are you when you get off of this horse? I feel like I would have
anything else. So okay, you lift weights. Do you lift weights?
Just genetics. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
You're like creatine. Here's the link in my bio.
Actually, if you guys want to get on and get unmatched, no.
But like, okay, so a sport that you do, right? Hunting.
Yeah.
Hunting. Are you kidding me? Like going up and glassing or doing anything like that. Like you have to be in shape, right? And you're used to it. Working out, you get calluses, you get used to it. Your body's used to it. A personal trainer is not going to be sore, right? Yeah. I train horses or ride them every single day. I don't get sore riding.
I feel like doing 100 miles. I don't care how.
You work up to it. Yeah. But you learn, I guess, to endure. It's endurance. You learn pain.
That is,
it's different. Your muscles, get tired for sure. But like, I don't know. It's just one of those things when you do it a lot and you're well conditioned, your body adapts.
Yeah.
Your first 100 sucks. I'm not going to lie. Absolutely sucks. First one is terrible. Because usually for racing and for endurance, when you get people into the sport, you don't want them just to come in to race, right? Mm-hmm. Like endurance, our motto is to finish is to win. Mainly because it's very difficult.
Oh, for sure.
But you don't want people coming in just racing. Like you want them to come in and appreciate the miles and appreciate your horse and learn. So I'll get off and I'll run with my horse, like on downhills and things like that. I'll get off and I'll do what's called tailing. And you grab onto your horse's tail and you walk either beside them and they help kind of pull you up the hill. Because on steep inclines and you're going forever, you want to give them a break. So I'll get off and I'll tail, and it is the best hamstring workout you could ever possibly imagine.
Oh, shit.
Because you're pacing with your horse. You're not walking at your pace. You're like fast walking.
Uphill.
Hanging
on to your horses.
Yeah, for like steep climbs and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different things, but when you get into the sport, you work your way up. So you do things a lot longer. So my first 100 that I did, it literally took me 23 hours and like 52 minutes. Yeah, I was dead.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
So
you have appreciation for it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the whole staying up, like, how do you drive? Like, I used to ride a horse 100 miles, and be up for 24 hours. I can drive. It's fine.
Yeah,
I can stay awake.
Insane.
Yeah.
I did God, when I first moved here, my buddy's like, "Do you want to do this backcountry horseback hunt?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Oh, yeah.
I've ridden before, but like not backcountry hunting style. Well, he shows up with his mules, and these are giant.
Yeah.
I explained it to my wife and kids. Like, I felt like Jean-Claude Van Damme, when he like does the splits, because his mule's so wide,
yeah.
and I'm not flexible.
Your hips probably hurt so bad.
We were averaging, I think, 20 miles a day, going from zero riding to 20 miles a day on this giant
And that's
mule.
walking too. And walking is way worse. When you're walking, you are I don't know how to explain it. When I have to walk, you're so
everything.
sore. You feel everything. It's worse. That's 10 times worse.
There was the last day we're coming back, and I've got a couple of my buddies with me, and I'm the newbie, so I'm just shutting up. I can't say shit, right? I'm like, I'm dying. Yeah. I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, how fucking far are we to the truck? I'm gonna start like, fuck this thing. Fuck this animal. It hates me. It's run me through every tree. My puffy jacket is shredded. I got feathers all over me because this thing would just veer and just through pine. It hated me. We're coming down, and it's steep, and I'm just hanging on for dear life. And I yelled at my buddy, I'm like, "Hey!" And he looks back, and I'm like, "Are you guys sore? You're hurting?" And oh my God, dude! Everybody's like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Can we walk? Can we walk?
Get off and walk, yeah.
This sucks."
Oh my God.
And yeah, it
That's
was
hard when the horses are going or the mules are going over technical terrain. Like it pulls you in so many different ways.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was horrible. Yeah. I mean, I was shooting $2, and it was great. It was a great trip, but I was almost like, "Fuck this! I'll just walk. Like, this is a night." But when we're back like 11 miles and it's dark, and you come across some dudes hiking and their little headlamps, you're like,
yeah, right.
You're looking at it, like, okay, this is worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was horrible going from no riding to doing 20 miles a day in the mountains. I was.
Oh, I can't imagine that.
It was.
Yeah, I could imagine you.
You're like, shut the fuck up, pussy. I did 100 miles in a day in 8 hours, but now I'm over here like hanging on, like, like, oh God, like, but he couldn't say anything, like.
Oh yeah.
As a dude, and I'm like the new guy, like I can't say shit. I was in so much pain. I'm not even gonna lie. It was horrible. I was like,
I ruined it. You need a better experience.
Yes.
Faster is better, I promise.
Yeah, right. Yeah, noted.
Just get through the miles faster. That's all. That's it.
Yeah. We'll just get through it quicker the better. Jesus, it was rough, but that is a fascinating thing that I didn't even know existed. Because when I was reading your bio, I was like, this chick runs 100 miles.
Oh my gosh!
I thought you were pulling some like
no
Usain Bolt shit and like running through the deserts, like, which is a thing. I know a dude that does it, and he's always.
There's a lot of people in endurance that are also endurance runners, and it's amazing because after not only riding through that many miles at a slower pace, but also getting off and running. Like I've ran 23 miles before in an endurance race. Like I did 100 miles on my horse, and I got off and I ran 23 miles of it. And I'll tell you what, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to help my horse out, but at the same time, like I have so much respect for those endurance runners. I mean,
sure.
I would love to have their carb load that they have. But I won't run 100 miles.
I'm not running 1 mile at this stage in my life. No,
it's wild.
No,
and they're older too.
That's
I don't know. Like Western States 100, right? It's a big, large 100. We have the Tevis Cup, which is the world's hardest 100-mile race in the world. And
for horses or
for horses.
Okay.
And then they have the same race, but it's for people, and it's called Western States. And these people that are winning it, I mean, they're like in their 50s, 40s, 50s, and I'm like, I get out of bed and I hurt.
Yeah.
Like if I sprint to the truck, like I stretch this little muscle in my foot.
Out
like,
for a week.
Like what? Yeah.
We were hunting in Utah. I was with my buddy, and we rode e-bikes in and then hiked a ways. We were
Back
in.
there.
We were committed. And there was a race that was going right through the unit we were hunting, and these guys were running like the mountaintops, like the crest.
Yeah.
They ran the whole front down there in Salt Lake, and I'm back there with my pack on, dying, and here comes this little Asian man. He's like, "Hey, guys, doing?" And just dips right by us, and I'm like, "Where are they coming from?" Yeah. That's a whole world that I'm completely comfortable never experiencing. Right. There's just certain things you have to know.
Like, can I win an Eternal award? That would be amazing.
I wouldn't even do that. I would win the I signed up and never got out of my truck award. No. So
my girlfriend signed up this was last year. It was like beginning of the year. She likes doing little runs, right? Like the 3K, the 5K, whatever.
Yeah.
She's got longer legs than I do, so she does very well. It was in our backyard, and I'd ridden these trails since I was 5 years old. Okay. So I'm like, I can, no problem, right? I signed up for the 3K. I was dying. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. I was like, every muscle in my leg is cramping up going up this hill. I'm like, I can't believe I run my horses up these hills. Like, my horse's forearms just, I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. Yep. You know? It's just, it gives you an appreciation for it.
It really
totally
does. It does. And you got to train for it. My buddy, man, he was one of those runners, and we had just gotten out of Iraq and went to Kuwait before we were headed home. And he's like, dude, we were there for a couple weeks. We had to do a whole agricultural wash down. We call it egg wash. You just wash all your vehicles down and all your gear and everything before you leave. Yep. He's like, dude, let's do a 5K. There's a 5K in a couple days. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't even know what the fuck 5K is. And we show up, and it's on this Navy base, on a naval base. The Kuwaiti naval base is where we were. And we show up, and there's like women in tutus, like old like Navy women in like headbands. There's all kinds of people, civilians, like all these people there. And I'm like, we're good. I had old ladies with 5-pound weights passing us, and my buddy and I like dying, cramping, had no water, we literally just out of Iraq, straight to Kuwaiti naval base, running a 5K.
Oh my gosh. Not
ready for it. And that was the last one I've ever run. Did a Tough Mudder. That was with a triple amputee, and that was horrible. We actually just had him on. But yeah, it was that was the last time I was ever going to be embarrassed doing a run before. I was just not built for it. That's not big guy shit. So I was way bigger then too. Like I was not built for it. But I'll never forget these little old ladies, and they had pink little 5-pound weights in each hand, and they just powered it right by us. And I was like, fuck no. I sprinted. I was not going to get beat by an old lady.
I can't.
No, I looked at him and I was like, fuck no. I got to have him out on the show and we'll talk about it. But we looked at each other. I said, fuck no. And we took off, and I could see the finish line. Just barely beat them.
Yes.
Barely. And I was dying. God. That was it. That's the last time I ever ran any race. Oh,
it's not for everybody. It really isn't. I'd rather do weights all day than cardio. I can't. Yeah. I'd rather be able to breathe. I can't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I tell him, like, I'm a truck driver. Do I look like I run? Like, I don't. You don't
look like a truck driver.
No, here's the thing. I tell everybody when, everyone food gathering, whatever, like, oh, have this or snack. Like, everyone likes to snack on the road, right? I'm like, listen, I am a truck driver. I don't want to look like one. Okay. And that's my favorite thing to do. Like this last weekend, my girlfriend and I, she's a private chef, right? And she's like this all around badass, super athletic, she can make pancakes while surfing, like wake surfing behind a boat. She will be making pancakes. Like, I'm like, girl, you need to get a YouTube channel. Yes. You need to do some crazy stuff. Like, I have a lot of really neat and talented friends, and she's one of them. And she's, anyway, incredible. But we were at the bar this last week, and after snowmobiling, and it's Cook City, super small, and we're in there, and just bar talk and stuff like that, and everyone's like, oh, what do you do? And my girlfriend's like, guess what she does? And everyone always thinks I'm a hairdresser for the first, which is hilarious, because I'm like, that usually means my hair looks like shit, because hairdressers never do their own hair, or that they think I'm like that level of batshit crazy. Okay. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But it's funny because like the whole night goes on, and like the guessing what we do, right? And they never guess her job, and they never guess mine. So then, it's funny at the end of the night.
That's cool.
But, yeah. It's just, simple talk. It's fun.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you got to go see some friends tonight after this. And so thank you for swinging by. This was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
And it was cool to
it
get
was
to know
fun. It was
a little
super
bit.
fun to be able to tell little stories and pings here and there. And
kind of what we do. We just sit down and shoot the shit here. So
yeah.
and get to know you. And it was awesome. And yeah,
the
if you
stories.
ever roll back through.
Okay,
let us
hopefully
know.
not this late. Maybe it'll be 5 a.m. next time.
We're night owl people. I mean, I think we average 1 o'clock in the morning. We walk like after this. It's 10. We'll go for a 5-mile walk after this every night.
awesome.
Yeah. So not as the kids, but yeah. So we do.
That's really
We're
awesome.
weird. We're not. That's why it's we live a really weird life. Like if people actually like got to know like
love
us
it.
and our dynamic, we're fucking weird. We sleep in every day.
But here's the thing, like the weirdness, I think it's everyone's like it's your normal, right? Like what's normal? What's weird? Just because
exactly
it's unique, right? That's special.
Yeah, then you talk to somebody like, you guys, you stay up that late. I'm like, you go to bed at 7? It's still fucking light outside.
Right?
No, I think that's weird.
Right.
People are putting their kids to bed. Oh, our kids are in bed at 7 every night. I'm like, wish our kids are taking showers at midnight. Like, fuck, let's go.
Oh my god, I
You
love
know,
it.
so that's. I mean, yeah. What is weird? What is
That's
normal?
unique. I think that's really awesome though. Like you switch it up and you do stuff different. Like, and I think that's one thing that you're so unique at in this podcast and everything else. It's because it's different.
Thank you.
It's different and it's unique, and
Thank
it
you.
brings different and unique in, and that like that's the new normal, right?
Yeah.
It should be.
Well, and everybody's got such a cool story of life, and I feel that this world we live in now is everybody has to be this entrepreneur and very successful, and nobody's gone through some shit. Nobody ever talks about the shitty times or what it took to get to that point or what it's actually like. It's just, and you know, we live in this world of social media where you only see the positive,
Yeah, you only post the good stuff,
only
right?
good shit.
'Cause
That's the only thing anybody wants to see, and that's everybody's life, right? But it's like they don't know what's going on, what it's like on the road, and
broke down 24/7. Literally, that's all I posted for like the last 2 years is just me and the fuckery that happened.
How miserable? Okay, before we go, how miserable is it blowing a tire on the highway?
You know what? It sucks when you're literally on the border of Mexico and you do not know the language. Yeah, I picked up a trailer at like literally the border of Mexico in Texas,
Yeah.
and I blew a tire like 2 miles from there, and I had to go to the tire shop, and they're like, "Oh, you wait inside." I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm not. I'm waiting right here with the truck." Like I did not speak enough Spanish to feel comfortable, and when I mean speak enough Spanish, like I know like 1 through 10, and like yes, and have a good day or something. Like, so maybe I need to get on some Muzzy on the road, you know, and
Something.
like learn on the road. Yeah,
Something,
no.
yeah. I'm
So,
sure there's
yeah.
enough apps out there you can
I am very lucky. I've never blown a steer tire or anything like that. But yeah, a tire in the trailer when it blows, yeah, it sucks. It's just the downtime, right? And it's not something like I can like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go change and get the spare real quick. Like thing weighs more than I do. Like yeah, good luck. Yeah, no,
That's wild.
yeah. So
Well, thank you again for coming on.
thanks for having
We're
me.
gonna send you home. Oh, you don't do coffee, huh?
I don't do coffee.
Oh, then
no, I
fuck
don't.
C-State. We're not
Okay.
gonna Just kidding, buddy. No. We'll cut that out. We'll cut that one out. No, he's a good buddy of mine. I give everybody an opportunity. You know, I give veterans and law enforcement if they have small
Yes.
businesses that send us stuff.
Yeah,
Like we've
just
had
support them.
some cool, and it's
1000%.
completely free. And people hit me up all the time. They're like, "Do you actually do?" I'm like, "No, I'm not going to charge a veteran." So yeah, so he's a recon Marine. He lives here locally, and then the other guy, he was actually a combat Marine with the cigars. I'm sure. I don't know if you're a cigar. Are you in the
I
cigars?
am not a cigar,
Figured.
but my brother-in-law is.
I'll send you some.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you'd love those.
Yeah, he's a cop in Michigan. He actually got shot in the line of duty, and he does cigars now. And then so there are a couple vets,
for
a couple
him.
Marines, and then I had a law enforcement officer that sent us some clothes. He's got a fitness line, and he's trying to bring veterans and law enforcement together through like religion. You know, he wants to open a gym that's all based off of faith, and so yeah, just cool
that.
cool companies. And I'm like,
gosh, I love
I just
that.
wish everybody would do something like that.
Yeah.
Like give
have a purpose.
just not. I
Have,
mean,
have a purpose in it. They have a vision. It's their, you know, I feel like when people make something like that, like they have a vision
Yeah.
and there's something driving them and they have a story behind it. So it makes it so much more meaningful.
well, and I feel like I've had help along the way. Don't get me wrong, but in the early days, if somebody's like, "Hey, dude, I would love to just share this," and if you got a sale, it would be so cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you see these platforms, they're so massive. They're so massive, and I'm sure they do. I'm not saying they don't do things for the community or offline, but if they just gave every small business, veteran, law enforcement, kid business, whatever, an opportunity and gave them a platform to be able to, if somebody sees a coffee and wants to buy it, which I've had people message, I'm like, cool, there we go. That's the whole point. So yeah, I try to do things a little bit different.
I love that though. It's
Only
supporting
because-
the small businesses and the people that matter and that have stories.
Why not? What is it?
Yeah. No, I love that.
I just don't know why. I don't know why it's so hard to catch on. I don't know. I see giant YouTube channels or podcast channels, and I'm like, the guys like plugging all their shitty fucking sponsors that they don't even use or support or believe in, and I'm like, why don't you give a veteran company or some cop or firefighter that started some product, give them an opportunity?
Yeah,
throw it out there.
Give them back something that they've dedicated their entire life.
I don't know, but then again, it's their platform, and I'm sure they've had some hurdles getting to that point, and they want to.
Yeah, but I think that ties in the realness though, because being able to support something that you believe in also too, and that you know the backstory of, that's huge, and that speaks volumes. I will never, blast something or support something that I don't believe in or 100%. Anything else like that, and that's why it makes my word so much more real. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
that's honestly why I haven't picked up any sponsors yet. We've had some companies reach out. I'm like, it would be nice.
Changes things though sometimes,
And that's another thing. I will never lose control, and I will never sell out to anybody just because they want to bring in money and give me money. I don't give a fuck. Like this right now, this is just for fun. Like I'm planning 2 or 3 years down the road for this. This right now is just, she gets to learn. She has a job. It's really cool to be able to work with my kid. That's it. This is this is a money fucking pit. It's not a money maker at this moment. Yeah. But, and I want that to be when a company comes along and they're like, hey, dude, we really believe in this and we would love to back you. And when I support it and somebody sees me supporting a company, they know, no questions asked, that I truly believe in that brand. And I've had companies reach out and I'm like,
yeah, until the right one comes along. Yeah. And it will, within time. Yeah,
as soon as we get a couple of subscribers, it'd be nice. But
all of you listening, start clicking.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you again for the conversation. I know it's late and you've been snowmobiling all weekend and you're probably exhausted and want to go to bed. So
yeah, no, eventually can rest when I die.
Yeah, right. Fucking A.
Thank
you again. Appreciate you. Cool.
That was awesome.
That was.
How fun.
Thank you.
So many things.